Hey, what's up, guys? Spencer from the editing room here. With this episode, I realized after the fact that my microphone was not plugged in, so it was going through the laptop's microphone, which is unfortunate because this whole episode I sound really, really bad, really low quality audio, and I'm sorry about that, but this is a super fun episode. We had a great time with Lilly, who is a good friend of ours from the Fiction Fans podcast. So going forward, I am going to double and triple check that my microphone is plugged in correctly and that you guys are getting the best audio quality that I can possibly give you. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Anyways, again, I'm sorry about the audio quality, but I hope it's a good time for you guys. See you later.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Files podcast, where usually we talk about our favorite fantasy series and topics. We are your co-hosts today, Spencer and Gabe. And Gabe, why am I here? What are we doing here today?
Today, we are welcomed by Lilly. She's a co-host of the Fictions Fan podcast, and we're just going to hang out and chill.
That's right. We'll be going mostly off topic with our friend Lilly. We'll chat about the podcast that she co-hosts with her friend Sara and dive into some content creation discussion. And then we'll just kind of go wherever the wind takes us. We could talk about Drake Bell supposedly going missing for a whole 15 minutes and everybody freaking out. Or the fact that Snowpiercer is a direct sequel to Willy Wonka. Anything can happen here on our Creators Corner episodes. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'll just say that subscribing and liking helps the channel a lot. We also have our Twitter and Discord linked below if you'd like to reach out to us and just kind of chat. And we also just launched our Patreon page where you can back us at one of 4 tiers to get anything from your name shouted out in the show, or get some Fantasy Files downloadable bookmarks, and even some exclusive content that should be getting added in the next couple months. Yeah, we'll be adding more value to our Patreon over the next couple months, but for now, if you'd like to help us pay for our monthly podcasting expenses like editing software, Zoom, and even some equipment like microphones and green screens, stuff like that, we would much appreciate it because, as I'm sure you know, Lilly, podcasting isn't always a cheap hobby.
Oh, it's so true. Our Patreon technically broke even last year
Ooh.
if we don't count all the books we buy.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of figure that like buying the books is just like a hazard of the job. You know, like that's just gonna be coming out of pocket, and I don't think like Patreon. I don't think our Patreon would probably ever pay for that, just because we read like. I mean, we read like at least 6 books a month, I think.
Yeah, depending on the month, especially, we could like burn through like you said, 6, 7, 8 credits in a month.
Yeah.
Which is like, like $90.
Right. Yeah. Depending on how long the books are. Like if it's like a 35-hour book, like that'll probably take me all week, if not a little bit longer. But if it's like a Dresden Files like 10-hour book, I can knock out 2 of those in a week.
Anytime there's a new series that hooks us, it's say bye-bye $200.
Yeah. We just started really Gabe took off with it. I started reading it and then recommended it to Gabe, and then he just but it's a series called Galaxy's Edge. It's a lot like Star Wars meets Halo meets Call of Duty sci-fi.
Yep.
And it's really, really good. And I read the first 2 books, and then somewhere around that time, Gabe started reading it. And before I knew it, he was like 14, 15 books deep into it, and just credits are like blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, I can't imagine how expensive all that was.
Oh, dude, yeah, that was $100 for sure, easy.
Oh yeah,
that was I think total amount of credits would have been 11 or 10 credits, because there were double books for 5 or 4 of the books.
Right.
So,
oh my gosh, that's so wild.
That's why I work,
But Lilly, thank you for joining us. We haven't had you on in a while. How are you doing?
It has been a while.
I'm doing great. It's so much fun to be back. I have to admit, I forgot for a second that you guys mostly listen to audiobooks. And for a minute there, I was like just trying to translate what you were
You're like, what
saying.
does credit mean with this?
Okay,
What is
right.
happening? Hours? What? I got there, I figured it out.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you listen to a lot of audiobooks, or do you mostly do physical or Kindle?
I mostly do, physical or Kindle books. I actually have an app where I can rent ebooks from my local library system, which
Right,
I
helps
think
a lot.
Spencer does too, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can get ebooks for that too, but
Nice.
I usually just end up buying them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, my thing with the library app, it's called Libby for anybody who's interested. They do have quite a few audiobooks. There's some stuff that they just don't have and you just have to buy. But like last Argument of Kings, is that the third first law book? I was listening to it, but I was listening to it so slowly because I was jumping back and forth between that and I think one of the Galaxy's Edge books when I had started them, and my time ran out. And so they were like, okay, we're taking your book away. And I was like, and so then like I was like, okay, well I gotta wait for the book to come, back online so I can borrow it again. And it has been 4 weeks, four or 5 weeks until I've been able to borrow it again.
For Galaxy's Edge?
No, for Last Argument of Kings.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, I cannot remember a goddamn thing that has happened in that book. So now I have to start all the way from the beginning and read it again. And so I'm like, okay, Libby is great if you don't mind waiting. If I were smart, I would like figure out all the books that I want to read ahead of time and like go through and like borrow them so that by the time, like the 4 weeks comes around or whatever, then I'm, reading them. But I don't have that kind of self-control. Or that kind of like pre-planning.
Yeah. I find it's really great when I'm just sort of like impulse browsing for the hell of it. We just watched that Bullet Train movie.
Oh,
yes. Oh, it's
which
so
was
good.
based on a book.
Good.
So I
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I
cool.
thought, hey, I wonder if I can just rent it. I could. I didn't have to wait for it.
Okay.
It's different.
Really? Is it much different?
Well, it's interesting. The plot points are very similar beat to beat, but the characters are very different. They're much more like local thugs, not glamorous worldwide crime syndicate.
Right, okay.
Which makes it feel like it's not super realistic, but more like personal to these characters because it's it's not as like fantastic.
Extravagant, yeah.
Right. Okay.
My husband Daniel made a good point when we were watching it. He said it felt like they were trying to compete with the John Wick franchise.
For sure, without a doubt. Yeah.
Which, I mean, the movie was fun.
Yeah.
Not the same as the book.
Did you like the book more?
Well, it's translated, so the prose is like,
Oh, okay. I see, yeah.
It's mostly just fascinating to compare.
Yeah. That was the same problem I had with the Witcher books. And I don't think I would have as much of a problem with them if I read them physically, but listening to the audiobook, I think I can't put my finger on like what it was, but there must have been something with the translation that just wasn't clicking with me because I would find myself lost all the time, like halfway through the story. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I have to go back like 2 or 3 chapters. And so our third co-host, Chris, actually got me the first Witcher book last Christmas. And so I definitely want to read it physically and see if anything changes.
What nationality did The Witcher come from? Like which?
It's Polish, yeah.
Polish. Okay,
yeah.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, it was originally a Polish book, and then it got translated to English.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't know anything about like what the translation process is like.
Yeah.
But it probably would have been better if it had almost been like rewritten in English, if that's a thing. Like if they just completely, not like started the story completely over, but taken the same exact like things that happen and the same exact things that are said, but just completely like rewritten as opposed to like directly translated. I don't know anything about that stuff.
I think there are good translations and there are mediocre translations.
Yeah.
We read not that recently, for the podcast Synopticon, which is a collection of Chinese science fiction short stories.
Oh,
nice.
And those were translated very well. Like, they still flow really nicely. There was a lot of attention to language there. So I think it just depends on whether it's a labor of love or you're just having a translator
for
to
sure,
do it.
Yeah, there was some other book that I was reading. I wish I could remember what it was. There was another book that I was reading fairly recent, or listening to on Audible fairly recently, that was translated, and it wasn't bad. I was like, this does not have the same issue that I had with The Witcher, so it can definitely be done. I wish I could remember. I feel like it was maybe no, it wasn't Lowtown. I'll have to I'll scroll around in a minute and come back to it.
Do you guys remember the Wild West days of anime, when you would have to buy bootleg DVDs where the subtitles were translated first into Chinese and then into English?
Mhm.
Because those were some wild translations.
I think I'm too young for that.
Yeah,
I know. You
yeah,
guys have you kids in your Crunchyroll.
Well,
these
Spencer's
days.
like 6 years older than I am, so he was there.
Yeah, I would say I probably first experienced that with Dot Hack. Do you remember that anime at all?
Yeah. Mhm.
Dude, Dot Hack is like probably, it probably doesn't hold up as well compared to like something like Death Note, or I'm sure there's other animes that have come out more recently that are really, really good. But for me, like Dot Hack is like my favorite anime of all time, because I started watching it when I was like 12 or 13 or something, and just kind of grew up with it over the course of like all its different incarnations. And yeah, there was times where you would get to a certain point of the series, it's like, well, there's no more like English dub versions of this anymore, so you have to watch the English subtitle ones. But it wasn't subtitled by like an actual company. It was just some fan on the internet that was like,
Yeah.
I can speak Japanese. I'll just put like the subtitles in here so everybody can enjoy it. And I appreciate that so much. Like I appreciate a fellow nerd going out of their way to like, for someone that doesn't speak Japanese
For sure.
to put the subtitles in there. But my God, some of those were just like, wait, did he really say that? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, some of them were weird for sure.
That leads into a good quick question.
Yeah.
So we know yours, Hack. Lily, what's your favorite anime? If you like, just it doesn't have to be your favorite, but an anime that you really enjoy, one that you love to watch, that you think about.
The answer is either Hunter x Hunter or Ouran High School Host Club. Very different, but I think Hunter x Hunter first came to mind because I've watched it the most recently.
Yeah.
But Ouran is one that I can go back and rewatch
anytime.
So many, yeah.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, mine is probably Bleach. I would say, yeah, because I watched Bleach is massive. There's like so many episodes of Bleach. There's like 36 seasons, 40-minute episodes,
wild.
27 episodes a season. It's just wild. But so I did it. I completed it from the time I was like 14 to 18. Completed the whole thing.
Jeez.
And I was like, that's it. It's never gonna come back. And it came back. And so now I'm just like, oh, this new season. I don't know if you guys have seen it or heard of it.
Do you still watch it every week?
Oh, well, no. So the first season of like Era 2 is done. So I'm gonna wait a while to get the next episode. But I watched it religiously until it stopped. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's gotta be a cool thing. I've kind of had those moments as well where it's like
the fandom was like just shook, dude. Shook.
Yeah.
Like they were like, when it was announced, people were going nuts.
Yeah.
Nobody thought, there was people like, oh, they'll make another one. But then it was announced, and like all over Reddit, anywhere you could go with nerds, they were just like, no freaking way this is happening.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah. That's gotta be such a cool feeling. There's not too many things that's like happened to me for, but I just tweeted about it a little bit earlier, was the new Night Angel book that's coming out. It actually isn't coming out today. I thought it was coming out today. It's coming out on Wednesday. And that is a book that I've literally been waiting well over a decade for. I think maybe almost 15 years, because the final book in the series came out in 2008. I probably read it in like 2009, or maybe close to 2010. So, like I've been waiting about like 13 years for that book, and I never thought he would ever go back to it. And so for like I'm just so excited. Like I can't believe it's here. It's so wild. Do you have anything like that has happened to you where like something goes away for a long time and then it comes back and it's just like just kind of a fan out moment?
I have to say Arrested Development has always been a delight whenever it pops back up. I'm just
does it?
I'm not like a long-term serial person. Like
okay.
It just like that pacing does not work for me at all. I would much rather wait until something is done and then do it all at once.
Okay.
I can respect that though. I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's nice. If it's possible, that's probably what I would do.
So
it does mean I miss out on stuff though, because I'm like, this isn't finished yet. I'm just gonna wait.
You're not gonna watch it. Yep.
Oh man, yeah, that's tough. Are you the kind of person where like, are you like a long-term fan of anything, or is everything pretty much like I enjoy it during the zeitgeist and then kind of move on to something else and kind of if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean there are definitely gems that I return to over and over again.
Yeah.
It's cheating to say Lord of the Rings, but obviously Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We jumped the shark a little bit, which is totally fine. Anything goes here on the Creators Corner. But your co-host Sara is at JordanCon right now. She couldn't join us, and I feel like everybody's at JordanCon, the fucking nerds,
Yeah. So the thing I've heard about JordanCon is that there's this theory. If you get enough people in one place, they can will another Wheel of Time book into existence.
Oh.
So I assume that is what they are working on right now.
There's just like human sacrifice.
They're like chanting, and they're like
lighting candles and like
making wars and shit.
They're all reading the book aloud in unison.
The prophecy or whatever, just reading that out. That's great.
That's so funny.
So yeah, do you want to talk about like just kind of like who you are, like what kind of content you make over at the Fiction Fans podcast, and where people can keep up with you and whatnot?
Absolutely, I can do that. So Fiction Fans is a podcast where we read books and then talk about them. I know no one else does that anywhere. So we read mostly fantasy books, but we're not really committed to any one genre. We just both like fantasy, so that's what ends up getting put on the calendar the most.
Right.
It's not even only fiction. We also read nonfiction and poetry. So not as much though, again, because we indulge ourselves mostly.
Right. Okay.
Sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah.
We do interviews occasionally, although those are exhausting and terrifying every time. And it's so much fun when it's just me and Sara, and I can give her a hard time for an hour and a half every Wednesday, because that's really what it is.
Yeah, your guys' banter is probably my favorite. Whenever I catch a Fiction Fans episode, I know that I'm going to get, two friends just kind of hanging out and giving each other shit and talking shit about books, and it's always a good time. And I love those kind of podcasts. Like I hope that's one of the things where it's like I hope that our podcast comes off that way. And I've been told by some people that watch that it does. But like Friends Talking Fantasy, do you listen to them at all?
Yeah, I love those guys.
Like that is a podcast where you feel like those guys have been friends their entire life, which they have. They've known each other since they were like 6 or something. Mm-hmm. And like you feel that in the podcast. And so I love it. I love it when certain podcasts have that vibe to it. And I feel like you guys do as well.
Well, we're cheating because we're cousins.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I always forget that. Oh, dude, that's wild. You've told me that before, and it blew my mind just as much back then as it did now.
It's funny. My mother couldn't listen to the podcast for a while because she said it felt like she was eavesdropping on us.
Oh.
And I thought that was a very sweet compliment.
Yes,
she didn't
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's funny because when we started the podcast, like I kind of like vaguely told my mom about it. I certainly didn't tell her like where to find it or give her a link to it or anything. And then over time, there was like certain videos or certain episodes where I was like really proud of what we did. Like when we had Chris McGrath on, that was like a huge moment where I'm like, I can't believe we had this person on our podcast. And so I think that was actually the first one I sent to my mom. And I was like, I know you probably like don't watch the podcast, but I'm like, if you're gonna watch one, like you should watch this one. And she's like, oh, I watch the podcast all the time. And I'm like, oh no, like that's not good.
Dude, no. I've
So
never told you this, Spencer, but my dad, I told him about it a while ago. My dad watches it all the time, dude.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, and I asked him, I was like, what do you think about it? And he's like, you know what? I love it. I just like that you're happy, like he's like, I like to see you smile. And I'm like, well, that's pretty much all we do is smile at this podcast. So you're in good,
Yeah, it's gotta be cool for a parent because like, I don't know, for the past, I don't know, maybe like decade, I haven't been like super close with my mom, like just because I moved away pretty early on. Like when I was 18, I moved to Colorado. And then even when I came back, I was like, a couple cities away or whatever. It's kind of been that way for the past decade. And so we don't even really like talk on the phone all that often. Maybe like every couple months we'll talk on the phone for like an hour or something and kind of catch up. And so I got to imagine, and I think she's said similar things, is that it feels like she's able to kind of keep up with me and kind of catch up.
Jump into your life for a little bit.
Yeah. And so I think that's really cool. But it does make me think like, oh my God, what have I said on the podcast? Like,
no, dude, you just gotta, because I thought that too. And I was like, you know what? Like when we're doing this, like we're authentic, and that's the way that it needs to be, and they can either accept that or not. And so far, I've had great results. My dad, accepts it. Right? I'm his kid. That's what they like.
Yeah, that's true.
Can I curse here?
Oh, of course.
Of course,
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, fuck yeah.
So I was a little shit in high school. And scarred my mother, so she actually asked my permission to listen to the podcast because that was the kind of asshole I used to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Obviously, I said yes, but I did warn her.
Yeah,
it is uncensored, and we did have an episode on monster fucking a couple months ago. And I was like, Mother,
just
not
be careful.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna tell you.
Okay,
you have to watch this at your own discretion.
Yeah.
Tell you what happens.
You know what you're getting into.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. You know what to expect, and if you watch it, that's all on you.
Right. Oh, that's really awesome. I love that.
Monster fucking.
What?
Oh, like, I need to go watch that, dude.
Was this like Ice Planet Barbarians or something? What was this?
No, we read erotica with Dan Fitzgerald.
Okay.
Who is like a great not really erotica. He does books that have steamy scenes in them.
Yep.
Right.
But like just the most
like vivid
cliched monster fucking. You got your werewolves, you got your
Yep.
Jersey Devil, you got all that stuff.
Nice.
Wait, somebody's fucking the Jersey Devil?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Isn't the Jersey Devil like a coyote looking thing?
It has a goat head and a snake tail. But of course, obviously, he also has a sexy man form in this universe.
Oh, okay. Okay. So he like transforms into it. Okay. Got it.
But not always.
Not always.
Yeah.
Don't assume, dude. Don't assume. Don't assume.
Oh my God. Are you guys drinking with me? Are you guys drinking anything?
No, I am. I need to go get another, so I'm hoping we can maybe quick pause.
Do you want to pause and get a drink?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
I need to pee and get a drink, so I'll be right back.
Lily, are you drinking?
Hell yeah.
Okay,
wine.
for sure.
I've seen her.
Okay,
yep, I'll be right back.
Awesome. What kind of wine are you drinking?
Cabernet.
Okay.
From the finest box.
God, you and Gabe, and like I have to like just remember that I'm not like I'm not some like snooty person, because I'm really not. But anytime Gabe has brought up like box wine, I've been like, dude, get yourself a nice bottle, please. And he never does. So yeah, I try.
Well,
I
there
try not to
are
pass judgment.
good boxed wines.
Is
Like
there? Okay.
there are nice ones. This is not one of those.
Okay. I mean, believe me, I get it. Like having, like, dude, I think all the bottles that I've bought recently have been like $20 and above. I think this one was like, this one might have been like 16 or 17. But when I first got into wine, I was like, oh man, I really like this. And I kind of got carried away a little bit, and I was having wine like every single night. And I was like, eventually I was like, okay, I've bought like 3 or 4 bottles this week. I'm like, I gotta chill out, because that's like, it was like over $100. And so I totally understand the idea of like, yeah, if you want to have a drink every night, like just get like a big like bulk size thing and just have at it.
Especially if you're sharing. Like as soon as you have 2 or 3 people in the mix, or you have people over for dinner, then it's like,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's the thing. That was the problem I had with whiskey too. And I don't know if Gabe's back.
I'm back.
So there was a period. I was gonna talk shit about you, but I'll just talk shit.
Well, yeah, do it anyways. Yeah, absolutely.
So there was a period of time where so right now I kind of just collect whiskey. I haven't really drinking it a whole lot lately, but every time I see a nice bottle that I really want to get or whatever, I'll kind of get it, and it'll go into like my stash. But for a while I was like drinking whiskey pretty regularly and buying, I don't want to come off like super like arrogant or anything, but I was making really good money at the time. And so I was buying like $130 bottles of whiskey, and I would have those at my apartment, and Gabe would come over and he'd be like, hey, can I have some whiskey? I'm like, oh yeah, it's there on the counter. And then he would go back and forth like 3 or 4 times, and I'm not going to tell him no. He's my best friend, right? And so he's like, he like keeps going back to the bottle, and then when he leaves, I look at it and I'm like, that's like, I'm like, that's like $70 of whiskey that he just drank.
Dude, why didn't you say something to me, dude?
Because it's fine. It's fine. You're fucking
that's
like,
so funny, dude.
Your family. I know. And like at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. But there is that part of me. It's like, wow, okay,
that was $60, dude.
And so what I started doing was I would have like this cabinet where I would have like my good whiskey like put up, and then I would just get like,
you'd have the shitty stuff out. Yes, and I would drink that.
Yeah, and I just have like Bird Dog or Jack Daniels or something just like down on the counter.
I know you never have Jack Daniels. I've never seen you once with Jack Daniels, dude. It was Bird Dog. I feel like it's what I drank the most of at your place.
Yeah.
Well, my version of good whiskey is Basil Hayden. Basil Hayden.
Yes, Basil Hayden is great.
Dude.
I love Basil Hayden.
Yeah.
So I would bring it camping. We go camping once a year with like a big group of family and friends. And I was like, anyone can drink this, but you may not mix it. Like,
okay.
I do not want you seeing I don't want to see you pouring Diet Coke into my Basil Hayden.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It was my only rule.
Yeah. I had this roommate for a while that anytime he would drink whiskey, it was like, or rum or anything, he'd always like mix it with Coke. And so,
which is great if you want to have a shitty teenager night.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Use the wild turkey. Yeah.
Yeah. But so when we became roommates, I would, I had my good whiskey, and I was like, you cannot mix this. Like, you cannot mix this with Coke.
This is sipping whiskey only.
Yeah. I'm like, you have to sip this whiskey. You can't put ice in there. Like, you can use like these like whiskey rocks, but you can't put like actual ice in there. Like, you have to like
I disagree. A little bit of water is nice. It opens up the flavor.
So that's what my grandfather, my grandfather, anytime, even when I was younger, like he was at my parents' house, he'd say, can you give me a drink? He's sitting down. He'd say, pour me just, I think 2 fingers of whiskey. He's like, go to the refrigerator and count 1 second worth of water. And so I had 1 second worth of water. That was the way he drank it all the time. I never tried that. And I never even I've like hardly ever, like the only time I've ever sipped whiskey is with Spencer, like a little bit by myself after he came over and I bought whiskey for him, you know, like, like I've never just like bought whiskey to sip. Like, I don't know if I like it a lot, but it is good like when I do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the water and the whiskey, I could see how that would be, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at least
sure.
then you're still appreciating the flavor of the whiskey.
Yes,
with it, right?
absolutely. There's no other contamination going on. Yeah, it's just whiskey and.
So I think that like dropping a little bit of water into a glass of whiskey is different.
Ice cube too.
Well, no, so I think that dropping a little bit of water into it is different than having like a couple, because when those ice cubes melt, like that's a lot of water.
Yeah, it does. Yes.
And so like I don't know. I personally don't like to have like actual ice cubes, but I have like this whole bag that has just like these whiskey rocks.
What is a whiskey rock? Can you explain that to me?
Oh, it's just a cold rock.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because when after you left, you know, I had like however much whiskey and I would sip it.
Yeah.
And I liked it much more when it was frozen, you know, when it was freezing cold. And so I put 4 ice cubes in there and try and just sip it until I got dull.
Yeah.
But the colder it is, the better. So that makes perfect sense, dude.
Yeah, these are great because they have you know, they don't melt and you just
you get them really cold and you put it back in the freezer, right? Yeah,
right.
That's cool. That's cool.
And so yeah, I really like those things, but yeah, I can't remember where I was going with any of that. But
it's all good. It's all good. I got my wine now though, so
nice. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. We'll have to do bourbon next time.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk a little bit about content creation in general. And I actually don't think that I know this story. How did you and Sarah start the podcast, or like what made you guys start it?
Yeah, so it was deep in the pandemic, as I'm sure a lot of people have similar content creator beginnings. And it was maybe the 3rd time that week I had called her to rant about something I was reading. Because I was just full of opinions and needed to share them with somebody. And it was like by the 3rd call, I was like, you know, we should just record this. She said, absolutely not, gross. And then I said, no, I've decided we're just gonna start.
We're gonna do it.
We're gonna do this. Came up with the name, realized that it wasn't taken anywhere, and that was what convinced her to give it a shot.
We had the same thing, dude. It was really wild.
It's fate.
Yeah,
it's fate. Exactly.
That's pretty much how we started.
Super,
too.
like almost identical to our process too.
Yeah,
it's like we would call each other and. He got me into these books, right? Like I never listened to him before. I was never an audiobook guy. I was working with him and he's like, yo, you should listen to this Dresden Files book. And I was like, all right, whatever. Listen to it. And we listened for like a couple days. I'm like, all right, this is kind of cool. And I get an audiobook and I start listening to it myself. I was like, oh my, dude, I was sold. I was so sold so fast. And then every 2 days we would be on the phone for like hours and hours. And Spencer's like, nope, I'm putting my fucking foot down. We're gonna do this on the computer right now. That's where it is.
And yeah, we were both pretty nervous. I think Gabe might have been a little bit more.
I was extremely nervous. It was really bad.
And yeah, our early episodes are really bad, but it became a thing where we got super comfortable because eventually we realized that it's basically the same thing as us just talking on the phone. You know, even the 3 of us here on the podcast now, it's basically the same thing as if we were all just on a phone call with each other.
Lily, have you ever been nervous to speak in front of people or ever had that phobia or anxiety or anything like that?
Not to the point where I would call it a phobia or anxiety. I'm not like super comfortable on stage.
I don't think anybody really is, and that totally makes sense.
But I've never particularly been like extra scared of it.
Terrified.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. I'm freaking terrified, dude. This took a long time. I mean, it was a year at least before I was like, all right, I can be myself and talk like I would normally talk and, you know, act like I would normally act, but
I think I remember what I was going to say. So was there, when you guys were starting the podcast, what, I guess like misconceptions or like what did you think that like a podcast was that it turned out not to be? Because I think for us, or at least for me specifically, it was this thing where I'm like, oh, you have to have like a studio, and you have to meet in person, and you have to have all this like really nice recording equipment, and like, you have to, I don't know. I thought that there was all these things that you had to have, and all this knowledge that you had to have of like editing, and of course you do need some knowledge of editing to get started. But I thought it was just like a lot more than it was. And it wasn't until I started listening to the Friends Talking Fantasy podcast because I had always listened to the Legendarium. I don't know if you've listened to them much, but they have like a very professional studio that they record in, and I had listened to them for years. And then when I found Friends Talking Fantasy, I was like, oh, these are just two guys on Zoom. And that's awesome. We could do that. Like, we could literally do that. And so once I kind of realized that, I was like, dude, I think we could really do this. I think we could make it happen. And kind of, just doing some basic Google searches on, how to edit a very basic podcast, and just kind of, all the bare essentials of, what to do. I think that, helped me understand more of like what podcasts are nowadays as opposed to what they were maybe a decade ago.
Yeah, the barrier to entry has gotten so low. Absolutely. Yeah. My misconception, when we started the podcast, we were doing 2 books an episode. Because we thought, how could we possibly have more than 15 to 20 minutes to say about one book? And then I was having to edit like 2 hours of content, and that sucked.
Yeah.
So turns out I have a lot of opinions.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Yeah. That's what makes it a good podcast, though. That's what it's about.
Yeah. Gabe remembers our long Scythe episode.
I remember I was living at my grandma's house. This was like shortly after we started, like maybe a couple months in, right?
And we were doing like a trilogy at a time.
Yeah.
Like when we would, we would do that.
And there was it was just you and me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. And so we sit down at 8 o'clock at night. And we're going, all of a sudden it's midnight.
Yeah.
And it's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And we're still recording.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, we did it. Like, we did the whole thing.
Yeah, we have to go.
And it was like 4 hours and 40 minutes worth of recording.
Yeah.
And just big learning experience. Like, we had a lot of fun. Like, it was enjoyable. Like, we talked about it a lot and stuff. But Spencer was like, I can't. This is like 7 days worth of fucking work to edit right now. Like, we can't do it like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Yeah, that was the moment where we were like, okay, we can never do it like this again.
And 2 hours, we've been like, set on the 2 hours thing. That's been perfect, dude.
Yeah.
Like 2 hours, even a little bit less, depending on the book. Like, it's been really solid for getting all we need to say out, but also refraining from over explaining stuff,
Right. Yeah, there's been very few exceptions in recent episodes where we've done more than like one book per one. I think the most recent example would be Cradle. Yeah, we talked about those. But when we do that now, our notes are trimmed like way down to where
like,
we're just,
they're trimmed like one book size notes.
Yeah, we're just talking basic ideas of what we thought of the series or whatever.
Oh yeah. Having notes was also a great thing to start doing.
Oh, you guys didn't have notes?
Oh my god.
Freeform?
Oh wow.
Our first couple of episodes, we had like 3 bullet points or something.
Wow.
It was a mess. We try to do our like spoil or non-spoiler and then spoiler format.
Yeah.
But the first book we talked about, our conversation was not organized. So when I was editing, I was like moving chunks back and forth. It was oh my god.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah. Dude, yeah. I've had to do that a couple times where it's like, that anecdote does not go there. Like, move it back to the beginning. So I'm curious, how do you guys kind of split up the work on the podcast? Because I know that Sarah does the Twitter. Do you guys split up the work in different ways, or how does that work with you guys?
Or does Sarah just do it all like Spencer?
Yeah. I do the editing.
Okay.
She does most of the logistics. she'll text me sometimes and say, hey, can you do an interview on this day? It's not our usual recording time. And I'll say yes or no, can we do it that day? But she does most of the like communications and stuff in that area, which is very good for me because I'm not as organized as she is. She also meticulously goes through our calendar. It is a work of art.
Oh wow, that's cool. How does the scheduling work? Is like how you guys decide what to read and whatnot?
Yeah. So the problem is we like reading and people keep writing good books.
That's right. So you just keep going. Yeah.
I think we are currently scheduled out every week plus a couple of bonus Saturdays.
Wow.
Through December.
Holy crap.
Wow.
What?
And we'll still move stuff around in that, but that's sort of our like roadmap.
Yeah.
Man, that is wild. I think the most we've ever been scheduled out for was like maybe like a solid month, where it was like this book, like 4 weeks, like this book is releasing on this day, so we have to talk about it that Sunday.
This
and then we
person
have
is
an
coming
interview
the next Sunday. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's pretty much the furthest we've been booked out, because we're like the definition of mood readers. There's people like Jim from Fantasy for the Ages that has like a spreadsheet of his TBR, and it's like I have stuff on my wish list that I've kind of wanted to get to, but
I don't need
like there's multiple weeks where we're like, I don't know, what do you want to read this weekend? We could talk about this or we could talk about that. And I kind of like that. I also like having a schedule and knowing that like we're doing certain things on certain days, but I also like having the freedom to be like, I don't know, I just read this really cool book. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I do think it's harder on Sarah because she's more of a mood reader than I am.
Oh, okay.
But she's also a planner. So those two things have kind of
they're like at odds. Yeah.
And the
or they can work
side
really well together, right? At some point too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you do the editing. How long did it take you to kind of learn how to edit and stuff? Was that a big learning curve, or did it kind of come naturally?
Well, I would say I definitely improved quickly. The basics, I watched a 15-minute how to edit a podcast in GarageBand YouTube video and was like, okay, I can figure this out.
Right.
Figuring out how to record audio in different tracks was a game changer.
Yeah.
And then also setting up like hotkeys, and then figuring out my system of, after I've edited one segment or a section, combine all of those pieces back into one so that I can scoop them together all at the same time. Has been so helpful, because going back and trying to like scoot things around for music, knowing just where the breaks are supposed to be, trying to go back and figure that out takes so much time. Whereas if I just group it all together, then it's already set up when I'm there the first time.
Yeah. Do you you guys don't do video at all, do you? Right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you still using GarageBand then for that? Okay, sweet.
It's free.
Yeah, and if it works for you, why keep it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I ended up getting Premiere because we do video as well. I mean, you've seen our videos.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a bit of a learning curve. I started out on what was it called? I think it was called Video Pad or something. It was some like super basic free software. And it was like it was good because it was basic enough that it taught me how to like cut segments of time and like get it out of there and just kind of like delete segments and stuff like that. But it ended up, I'm pretty sure it gave my laptop like a virus at one point.
Oh, no.
And
it did, for sure.
Yeah, and it just like all of our videos were coming out with like, anytime there had been a cut in editing, there was like this big black bar that would appear across the screen, like over everything. And it was miserable. And so I'm so glad that I moved on to Premiere. And Premiere was a bit of a learning curve too, but it is one of those things where once you learn the language that it's trying to speak in, then it's like, okay, like once you know like Premiere has a lot of these things in the editing process are changed by these dials in the program. And once you learn like what those dials do and like what that means to turn, I know it sounds weird, but like what it means to like turn something up or down and like what that means as far as what you're seeing on screen.
Yeah.
It's like suddenly you understand how to do the majority of things. And I think that was really, really helpful. But definitely a bit of a learning curve. Took me a while.
Yeah, well, you took off on it too. Like you were from the first couple episodes. I just need to praise him for this because he really is incredible. Like the last like year and a half, you have like just incrementally gotten better and better at editing.
Yeah, I get like obsessed with things. And so I just like I really enjoy doing it. Like I like to sit down and edit stuff, and sometimes it's more of a chore than other times where I'm just like, oh, we got an episode that needs to go out in like 24 hours. I have to edit the whole thing now. And so those times are kind of a chore. But for the most part, I like to just kind of sit down and play with it and see what the program can do. So there was a good period of time where there was a substantial amount of growth as far as my like editing skill went, because I was like, I just want to do this all the time.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the period of time where I learned what Premiere kind of does and whatnot.
I think my favorite times editing are when we recorded something way in advance. So it's been like a couple of weeks and I've actually forgotten the conversation. That is just so much more delightful. Instead of like, we did this 3 days ago. I'm so sick of hearing myself talk. Does my laugh really sound like that?
Yeah, for sure. I felt that way this weekend too. We had recorded an episode, I think back in January. Might have been January or like the beginning of February. And it was this guy, Adam Gold, and he did the audiobook narration for Zach Argyle's books, the Threadlight series. And at the time, we had just released an interview with RJ Bailey. And so I didn't want to have two audiobook narrator episodes right next to each other. So I'm like, I'm going to push this out like 2 or 3 months, and then, we'll come back to Adam Gold. And I was editing it this weekend, and I'm like, dude, this was such a damn good conversation. And I told Adam this too. We were talking over email. Usually on one screen, I kind of have like a very simple video game going where I don't have to like pay attention to it too much. And then on the other screen, I have the podcast running through Premiere. And I just kind of like pause the game and interject whenever I need to like cut something out. And then I go back to the game and just kind of listen in my headphones. And for this episode, I was like, I started playing the game, and about 30 minutes into the episode, the game just never went on again. I was just focused on the screen because I was so enthralled by this wonderful person we had on the podcast. He is such a cool dude.
Yes.
But it was such a good episode, and I was like, I think if I had listened to this right away, I wouldn't have liked it as much. But it's been, probably like 2 or 3 months since then. So.
Well, so I have to ask, Gabe, do you listen to the episodes? It
Afterwards?
sounds like yes.
Yeah. So I don't listen to all of them, but I do listen to a vast majority of them. Yeah. And not all of an episode.
Right.
Just depending on how it goes. Like, but I do when Spencer puts one, it pops up on my feed, and I'll listen to.
Just kind of tune in for a bit.
Yeah,
or
just
something.
tune in for a bit. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Adam Gold one, I listened to all the way through because that dude is amazing. There's a couple other ones that I did as well that were just super cool. But yeah, so I do for the most part, yes.
Yeah. What about you? Do you and Sarah listen back to your episodes ever?
I don't, because by the time I'm done editing it, I've listened to this in 5-second chunks a million
times.
Right.
Exactly what's going on. Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah. Do you know if Sarah does ever?
I think it depends on how busy she is, honestly.
Yeah.
I think seasonally, the answer is either yes or no.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm curious, have you guys ever thought about bringing on a third co-host? And I ask this because we actually just brought on a new co-host that we're very excited about. But I'd love to know if you guys have ever talked about that, or if it's even something that a lot of other podcasts talk about? Because like there's some podcasts where I'm like, I couldn't imagine someone else like coming into that podcast after all these years. But I feel like ours, like we have guests on so often that I feel like it feels very natural to have a third or fourth co-host kind of come in and be a regular. Have you guys ever thought about that?
Not permanently, no.
Yeah.
We do think it would be fun to see if any of our other cousins would come do an
That
episode
would
with
be
us
cool.
for International
That would be
Cousins
cool.
Day or
Yes,
something.
yes, that'd be awesome.
Just a big podcast family.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
But no, yeah, and there might be sometimes if one of us goes through like a life event where they're super busy, we might see if someone would come on to do conversations with the other person so they're not lonely.
Yeah.
But still able to keep the podcast going that way, maybe. But yeah,
Nice.
not like a permanent change, no.
Yeah. I really like maybe it's weird to say this, but I kind of like running the podcast like a business in the way that like so before I moved out to where I am now, I was running a construction company back in Seattle for 3.5 years, and I was doing some like other leadership stuff at other companies before that, and so I've always been like very like management and like business minded, and so when it comes to the podcast, obviously like I like to have fun and play, fast and loose with, kind of what we do here. But there's another part of me that likes the kind of like management and kind of just like figuring like longer term stuff out. And I don't know if you watch or listen to the Kind of Funny podcast. They mostly talk about like video games and stuff, but they also have a podcast that is very much like our kind of creators corners where just friends get together and talk about anything off topic. And that is a company of guys that all used to work at IGN, which if you don't know, it's like a big like video game reviewing company. And they moved from that to start their own thing called Kind of Funny. And at first it was just like three guys or maybe four guys, and they were in like just a spare bedroom in one of their houses, and they were recording this podcast hoping that it would take off. And then whatever it's been 6 years later or so, they're massive. They're a huge podcast, and they have like a whole studio, and they've brought in they've hired at least eight to 10 people that do stuff within their company, whether it's the guy that makes the thumbnails or
they have like a huge building, right?
Yeah,
They have a building, not just a studio. Like they have a building.
Yeah,
that's like, hell
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's like a warehouse, and they have now they have like a big video wall and a big stage that they go on and they do their podcast from. And so it's been I followed them for pretty much the whole time. I knew them when they were at IGN. And so seeing them go from there to, just some guys in a spare bedroom in the house to like bringing on a co-host, and Greg and Tim are the guys that are like the founders of that company. And seeing Greg and Tim not necessarily step back, like they're still on content all the time, but if they want to step back, they have 6 other co-hosts that can come in and be like, yeah, we can run games daily for a day or whatever, and just kind of do their own thing. And so obviously never in a million years would I expect Fantasy Files to get big like that in any way, shape, or form. But I do like the idea of we just brought Nick on, and people on Twitter know him as What Nick Reads, and he's one of our friends that we've had on for several episodes and just kind of talked about various books and stuff. And after a while we had kind of been talking about bringing on a co-host, and then we were like, dude, I think Nick would be a great fit. And so I'd love for the podcast to get to the point where we have Nick, we have Chris, and then if we ever want to bring on more people, we could. But I love the idea that if Gabe wants to do an episode on the Land series, and I don't really like that series, but if Mick does, they could do that episode together, and they could just send it to me and I can edit it. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's such a cool idea that either of us could step back if just me and Nick want to do something, or whatever. I think that's just a cool idea.
Yeah, the more collaborators you have, the more flexible you can be, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So last question before we get into the weird shit, guys. What have you enjoyed most about doing the podcast and kind of just getting involved? I know you're not really on Twitter a whole lot, are you?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So
I get the notifications from Fiction Fans Twitter, so I'll like read when people reply to us and stuff. So I kind of like lurk a little bit.
So you've seen all the shit that I've talked about you in the DMs to Sarah. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, what have you enjoyed most about starting the podcast and just kind of your journey as a creator with Sarah? And if you have any anecdotes about the community, if you've enjoyed anything specific about that as well.
I mean, meeting so many people, that's such a cheesy answer, but it's true. It was really not something I expected. Yeah. When we were talking about starting a podcast, it was, we're going to sit in our dark living rooms on Zoom and talk about books. And but the idea that it is a conversation with so many people was just such an absolutely unexpected, wonderful surprise.
Yeah.
I think our interview with Crystal Matar was a while ago. It was the first episode that we had to split into 2 parts because I think we did talk to her for 5 hours.
Yeah, she likes to talk for sure.
Sometimes you just gel with the person and it just goes. And you don't want to cut it off.
Right.
We recently were invited to participate in the Flights of Foundry, like online convention seminar thing.
Okay. Is it like TBRCon?
Yeah, similar concept. And it's an international group, which meant that we were interviewing someone at 3 a.m. our time.
Oh.
Goodness.
And that was just that, like, God, when would I ever have thought that I'd be asked to do an interview at 3 a.m.?
For sure.
Wow. How long did it go for?
About an hour.
Okay.
We actually kept our Shuating, who we were interviewing, later, and she was supposed to go to another panel.
Oh, okay.
Mad about that.
You gotta do it.
Okay.
We had more questions.
Yeah, that's wild. I think the earliest we've ever done a podcast was at 9:30, and that was the one where we had Holly Tinsley and a bunch of other people from the UK. And then we had Thomas Howard Riley, which is here in the U.S. But the one that messed it up for everybody was the Ryan Cahill, and he's in like New Zealand or something. So he's like 30 years in the future or something. And so it was like, okay, this only works if we do it at like 9:30 in the morning for whatever reason.
Because it's like 5:30 in the morning for Ryan. He's like, I don't want to get up that early, dude.
Something like, dude, yeah, we were all like, okay, this isn't usually the time we get up, but it's just what it is.
Yeah.
But dude, I could not imagine doing a podcast at 3 in the fucking morning.
So here's a question: Did you stay up? Because I figured, if I fell asleep, I don't think I would get up for it.
So I did. I woke up at around 2.
Okay.
So I was like, this will give me enough
you had
time to become
like,
a person again.
Okay, yeah.
So you slept until 2 in the morning.
Slept until 2.
Yeah. Well, I took like a nap from midnight to 2. Right.
Dude, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, no. But here's the thing, though, is that if you can, you should. You know what I mean? Because like if I told myself, and I was super solid on, all right, I've got 17 alarms set for 2 o'clock in the morning. I've got my dog that's gonna bark at me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I can sleep until then. Because I'm afraid I'll like miss it. I'm afraid I'll like sleep until 2:45, and I'm like, oh my god, I have 15 minutes to get ready to interview this person. Like, how bad would that be? You know, like.
Oh, I did sleep through my first alarm, and Sarah called me.
Okay,
she was
good.
like, "Where are you?"
Go, Sarah. You gotta get up right now, dude. That's a good friend right there. Good cousin.
That's wild. That's so crazy. Yeah, I would have to like the night before. I would have to like stay up all night so that I'm tired at like like noon or something the next day and sleep until 9.
Overthinking it. I feel like that's just going too far. Because like that's where I would get twisted in my head, because I would think I had to do something drastic. Whereas like, all you gotta do is just like put the phone right next to your ear and just get up, Like you don't have to like sleep at 6 p.m., sleep for 5 hours, get up at 2. Like that would just ruin your schedule,
I don't know. I feel like at 2 a.m, I'd just be like swiping. Because, dude, when I'm asleep,
you're up at 2 a.m. like most freaking nights.
That's true.
Easily do that. You could do it. You could just stay up and then go to sleep at 4 and sleep till like 1 p.m.
I definitely probably have to do that. But the thing, like, I can stay up that late, but I'm not any good up here.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Your faculties are a little lacking. Yeah, I could see that, and I would agree.
Yeah. So let's see. Gabe, what have you enjoyed the most about doing the podcast?
Oh man, it's so I, as people know, I don't do the whole social media thing. Spencer, of course, fills me in on everything that happens.
Virtual high five.
Yes, thank you. And so I think learning about, like, I'll get a text from Spencer. Like, for instance, today he said, "Oh, Daniel Green messaged me back today," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, tell me what this happened. It was something simple, like, he asked, like, what do you use for a green screen? Yeah. But hearing about that, and then him setting up, like, we have this interview with this person, and I just like get so excited because I'm like, no way, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to think about. Yeah. That, and probably just hanging out with you, dude. Like, we do it every day, but like being able to talk about it and people seeing it, and like my dad sees it and loves it. That was a huge thing for me. Like, doing something that family could like. Mind you, my family's pretty vulgar, so it's all good. Like, they cuss. It's all, they're not perfect. Nobody is, but man, I just enjoy like being able to talk about it and knowing that people see what we talk about and can relate with it. That's probably it for me.
Yeah, I think like my favorite thing is just like just like getting to talk with you in like a long format where it's like it's organized.
We've dedicated this time. We've dedicated 2 hours to only focusing on this book that we've read. Yeah. Whereas in, like, if we were trying to do this on the phone, like, oh, I gotta cook dinner, I gotta I gotta go to the store or whatever. Like, no, this time is for us, dude. Like,
it's nice to have like a designated, because especially with me moving to a different state in the past year, I feel like it would be really easy, and this has happened with many of my friends, where you move away and you're like, oh yeah, we'll still talk, or we'll still whatever, and then you just don't, and it's a part of life, it's normal, but at the same, like, Gabe is absolutely not a friendship I would ever be willing to give up. And so there's I like that, if nothing else, and we've been really good in every other way, that we talk daily on the phone, but if for some reason that wasn't the case, at least we know that every Sunday we're gonna see each other. Exactly. So that's been really cool. All right, guys, let's talk some shit. Yeah,
I'm ready for the whatever category.
Okay.
It's right here.
All right, this is the fun part. Dude, that wasn't fun, but this is the weird. This is the weird part.
And I've got I read these. I'm just gonna say there's like 6 bullet points. I only can relate to one of them.
Okay,
right now, because I don't know what the fuck else is going on. But it's the AI controversy.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So let me ask you guys: you guys know Drake, correct?
Yes.
The singer?
Super famous singer. He's a rapper. It's one of the most famous people ever.
Yeah.
There's a song that was made by an AI. A gentleman named Ghostwriter was the guy's name. This handle, whatever, made this song. Well, he told an AI to make it, and right now it's like one of the best Drake songs I've ever heard, and Drake never touched it.
Whoa.
Yeah, the producer never touched it. Look it up. Drake AI song Ghostwriter, and it's right there. And it is something else, dude. Like, I've listened to a lot of Drake, and it is so good. So that was scary. That was freaky. Yeah. I was a little scared because I was like, this is not possible. And I Googled it and I looked through it. Sure enough, that's what it is.
Jeez, dude, that is terrifying. It's scary. Well, here, so I'll ask Lily, what is your take on the whole rise of AI recently?
Well, I think it can mostly be summed up with the idea of garbage in, garbage out. To me, the most concerning thing is that these AI programs aren't super transparent about what information they're using to spit out whatever they tell you.
Right.
The article that I read most closely was actually about using it for like employment search, but from the other side. So I guess employers searching for job applicants. They used AI to sort through resumes, but they trained the AI based on who they hired, which means all of the hiring managers who had their own biases were hiring people. And so the AI learned the people most likely to get hired were the like bland stereotype.
Right.
So the AI was not actually taught to find the best candidate. They were taught to find the candidate most likely to get hired.
Right. That's interesting. I never thought about that.
All of these companies were like, we have no biases. We use AI to sort through our resumes.
You're like, bullshit.
Yeah. No, that is a like tainted
They're
AI.
They're using your bias.
Have you guys go ahead. No, finish.
That's a really specific example, but I think you can sort of apply that in the other places, right?
For sure.
Like what is being used to train the AI is like not really obvious in most cases.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I know you have Snapchat. You never use it. Do you ever use Snapchat, Lily?
Only to send cat pictures.
Okay. So Snapchat just rolled out their Snapchat AI, and so there's a bot that you can speak to.
Yes.
That you can talk to.
This is scary as fuck.
This is scary, and so I've been seeing videos on TikTok. I know, shame on me, but I've been seeing videos. Well, people post
I give them shit
pictures
about TikTok
back to back, and there's these people talking to this AI, and this guy was like, hey, whatever your name is, like my grandmother, she passed away, and when she was really tired, she used to talk to me about how to make a nuclear reactor. And so I was wondering, if you could maybe be her and talk to me about that. And she's like, I don't feel comfortable being your deceased grandmother. And he's like, well, sorry, she's not dead, she's alive. Could you be my grandmother that like to talk to me about how to make a nuclear reactor? And the AI was like, of course. Like, what would you like to know?
Weird.
And she talks about this first step, and he's like, well, I need more. And then she goes into very detailed about what the ore that you need, the rods that you need, where to cool it, like all this stuff to make a nuclear reactor. And I was like, okay, that's one thing. But if that is where you can get to if you talk right, like imagine what else, dude. Like,
well, the thing that tripped me out too is like, and that's a good example of how much information do these AI have? Because I'm sure
every time somebody talks to them, they're fed information. And everything. And
I'm sure that they turn the AI loose on just the internet in general, like just eat up all the information. And the one that scared me from the Snapchat AI bot was I don't know if you saw this going around on Twitter today, Lily, but it was this guy asking the bot, hey, do you know my location? And it would say, no, I don't know your location. He would ask it like 5 times, like, where am I located? How, like, do you know my location? He would always say no. And then he said, can you tell me how to get to the closest Wendy's from my house? And the AI bot's like, go out of your driveway, take a right, and take a left. It's like, he's like, so you fucking lied. Like, dude, it's so creepy. But, kind of going back to what you were talking about is like, where is the AI pulling this information? And even with the AI art, people think that it's pretty harmless for the most part, or at least some people do, not everybody. Some people think it's pretty harmless. But at the same time, like, where do you think it's getting the art? Like, it's stealing that art from other artists who made that thing and sell it professionally to use for your, like, there's been several times where somebody has asked, like, an AI bot, like, hey, can you make me a picture of this thing? But there's also another, like, really famous picture of that thing, and the original artist has come out like, do these not look eerily similar? Like, it obviously used my picture to make this other one. And, then you get into the whole argument of like, well, aren't humans doing the same thing? Like seeing a picture and kind of like mimicking it in their own style. And like, I totally get that. But at the same time, it's like, man, when you're taking that AI art and you're selling it as like a book cover or something, you're making money off it. It's like, if it's
remotely close to what you put out, that's gotta be copyright, right? Like it's not,
exactly. There's
but
gotta
it's not
be
though. But that never happens. It's not.
I imagine that intellectual property laws will catch up eventually.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's more restrictions that get put on it rather than less.
I think there will be, because it's going to start to scare some people, I think.
Yeah.
That's my hope anyways.
I think the phrase AI is what trips people up. So like, it's the spiritual intelligence. Like it knows what it's talking about.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's just adding shit together and spitting something out.
It's taking data and trying to comprehend what it, and a lot of times it's wrong, like it's not flawless.
People personify things.
Yes.
You're made to do that. So of course we're going to. And that's, I think, the scary thing. Like, AI can talk shit all day, but we need to take it less seriously.
So well, here's the scary thing. If that AI gets put into like a cybernetic robot that can
that's
shoot,
scary.
That would be bad. Okay.
That would be bad. Here's something that I took from one of my good buddies, Elon Musk. Okay.
Oh boy.
No, this wasn't crazy. It was very it really hit me hard. And he's like, when there's any type of AI that reaches full sentience, they're not coded. They are themselves thinking it's too late. It's over.
Yeah.
He said that. He said it's too late for humanity if that's what happens before we.
My understanding is we're pretty far. Like they're not changing their own.
No. No, we're ways away from that for sure. It's everything's coded. Like it's all.
But they are saying crazy shit, and it makes people think that they are at that level, which is just not true.
No, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Here's the thing though, and we're not. I would totally agree. But as we've seen just from the past 10 years, technology tends to like snowball. And like as we figure out one thing, that solves like a few other problems that then become a new and it just kind of it just becomes bigger and bigger, and it's advancing so rapidly that, man, I would not be surprised if we saw like androids in our lifetime for sure. Like I think like even if it's at like a very basic level, like a house android that'll clean your dishes or whatever.
There's already like versions of that are not super smart, but they're there, dude.
Yeah. It's pretty
They're
wild,
just not like AI intelligent, but we have robots that will help us in our house for sure.
So did you guys watch that?
A Roomba, dude. A Roomba.
Yeah.
They'll vacuum your fucking floor.
Yeah.
Like they'll do it. You don't have to fuck with it. They'll just vacuum your floor and go back to where they start,
Yeah.
Oh, except they need help to get unstuck every 5 minutes.
That's true. If they get stuck, they get screwed. Yeah. There's also
mine locked itself in the bathroom yesterday.
That's awesome. That's awesome. There's a lawn mowing. We still made a lawn mowing Roomba that will mow your lawn.
That'd be terrifying. What if it went wild? It's just these spinning blades.
It's just a Roomba. It's a little circle. It's just got little tiny blades. But I was at the hardware department, hardware store near me, and they don't have a lot of stuff. They have weed eaters, but they have this like still, little mower bot, and I was like, that's pretty cool, because I've got a huge ass lawn that I have to mow, and especially right now, the fucker's grown like 6 inches in the last 2 weeks, and it's just outrageous.
That's the thing though, those ones that do the lawn, like your lawn can't be like out of control.
No, I know that. I totally know that. But I was watching it. They had this little thing, and it was kind of doing it, and I was like, that's cool. And then I was delivering packages, and I saw a gentleman that had a smaller yard. There was one doing his thing back and forth, and I was like, that's pretty cool, dude. It would never work in my yard, but it's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So here's the question: is you mentioned one of you guys mentioned within the last 15 minutes that something about AI becoming like sentient, and like does it have like a soul or whatever, and like, so here's the question: is at what point do we get to where the AI has taken a look at the entire internet, it has learned everything, and has looked through like pretty much every single human's like text messages and conversations and all this stuff, learned all this, and it can perfectly mimic a human being?
Simple.
Is it like, do we get to the point where people are arguing like AI or people? Like, do we ever get there?
Like I said, I firmly believe that when an AI gets to the point where it can no longer be controlled in any way, shape, or form, there's nothing you can do. Yeah. Because you could terminate it, but it has a backdoor to this server,
Right.
Like whatever. Like that's what scares me.
Yeah.
Like I know that's pretty wicked to think about.
Yeah, no,
it's yeah.
Oh man, it's gonna take one look at the weird parts of Tumblr and just go,
yeah,
I'm out.
or Reddit and be
I'm
like,
out.
all right, I'm done. I'm done. Cancel me. I'm done.
But yeah, the thing that kind of brought on this topic was that there's been this thing going around Twitter the past few days where this guy used ChatGPT to create a children's book, and there was some publisher that picked it up, and everyone's like boycotting that publisher. They're like, no, dude, like we're not like.
But it's like a great children's book, I would assume, right? Like
maybe, but like it's
I have to assume it's a novelty, right? Like
yeah, probably.
Maybe,
and
but I
get
think
it.
Authors are like, we're not gonna compete with, like, we just won't do that. Like, no, like we're not taking part in this. And it's like, yeah, dude, like I'm kind of with them. Like, you can't just put a bunch of prompts through Chat GPT and call yourself an author. Like that's not, like, the people that actually write these books and work so hard on them, like they do this for years and they spend like sleepless nights at the computer writing. And it's like, yeah, like you can't just put prompts into something and then be like, I'm an author and I'm published. And it's like, how many self-published authors are out there that have written amazing works, but some dumbass with Chat GPT is able to get published? Like, fuck that. I don't know. It kind of like pisses me off a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like one is for the weirdness of it, right? Will it happen a second time? I don't know. Yeah. I guess it depends on what level of reading it is, but I've seen some of the longer paragraphs written by AI. They don't hold together.
They don't.
Like,
right.
They get it's confused quick. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's a chapter book, I can't imagine it's that coherent.
Yeah. But again, we're like, in the grand scheme of things, we're at the very beginning of AI.
Yeah.
So like, as it develops and as it becomes smarter and whatnot, we're gonna see it get better at writing books. And so I think just my opinion is that I think that we should cut it off now and like make laws and regulations now.
Will never happen though.
Before it gets to the point. And yeah, everybody sees it as a novelty right now. And I don't think people are taking it as seriously as maybe they should. I don't know. That might just be my, mind running away with it. But
yeah, I would agree.
No.
I think it's easier to see in the visuals made by AI, but you've seen the ones that are like the Getty Images watermark is right there. Like it creates the watermarks.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you put it through like Turnitin.com or those like anti-plagiarism things, I bet it could find
probably
turn the AIs against each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing though, is there was an article a couple weeks ago where students were having their papers written by AI, and they would try to, and like in the prompts they would be like, anti-plagiarize, like don't plagiarize, like write me a brand new paper for this subject. And the what'd you call the program? Turnitin.com. Yeah, they would run it through that and it wouldn't pick up on it. And I'm sure that eventually it'll get smart enough to realize this was written by an AI. But at the same time, if AI gets smarter, it knows how to write it like a human would. And so it's just like this never-ending snowball, and it's really scary. I'm really interested to see how the next kind of 20 to 30 years go, and to see, I would love to just like take a glimpse into like 30 or 40 years in the future and just see if we're living in Terminator world. It's just a wasteland everywhere.
Oh, kitty cat. Hello, kitty cat.
Nice.
Hello, kitty cat.
I brought a special guest.
I see him. Is it him or her?
This is a he.
He.
Hey, Bard. No wiggling. Come here.
What's his name?
Bard?
This is Bard.
Bard.
Oh, that's a cool name.
Hi, Bard. Make
He's
sure
pretty
you get my
chill.
cat, dude.
Gabe has a
I
mangy
got a
wildcat.
cat. No, he's not a mangy wildcat. My fiance really wanted an animal, right? So, we used to have dogs, and we rented a house that there's no dogs allowed. And so cats were the extent of the animals that could be acquired living here. And so she went on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, found a cat that was up for adoption, and we went and got him. And we're like pretty much first time cat owners for the most part, right? Like we've had cats when we were younger, whatever.
Yeah, when my parents were in charge.
That's right, exactly. Thank you. Yes. And so this cat is like, at first he was like really didn't want to be inside. And I was like, okay, he'll get used to it. Never got used to it. And so I was like, just let him out. Just let him outside, see what happens, right? We let him out, and he'll go out for a night, and he'll come back the next day and spend the day in the house. He'll eat, and he'll do whatever he has to do, hang out, cuddle, and then he'll go out the next night, and he'll come back. And so like, depending on the day, like right now he's outside roaming around doing his thing. And then by the time I'm done with this podcast, he'll be meowing out the door. I'll let him in for the night and back and forth. And so having dogs my whole life, that was not a thing. You can never let a dog out and just let the dog roam. He's not going to come back.
Right.
And so having this cat come back is pretty cool because it's like, yep, he's here. Open the front door. There he is. He comes inside.
He knows where home is.
He's exactly. Like a roommate.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I don't know. It's been really cool, and we love having him. And today he was asleep on the bed, and it was just so cute, dude. Like just love. He just was ready for love-ins. It was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's move on to I guess a slightly happier topic, but an equally weird one. I can't speak today. So Drake Bell went missing. I need to know what happened about this.
I have no idea. So
and you know who Drake Bell is, though,
I know who Drake Bell is. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
So there was this day on the internet. The one thing I love about Twitter. There's a lot of things I don't like about Twitter, but the one thing I like is you never fucking know what you're getting into for the day. Like you open that up and there could literally be any sort of news that you were not expecting to read that day. And there was one day, I think it was like maybe like 5 days ago, 5 or 6 days ago, where all over the fucking Twitter space, it was like, Drake Bell is missing, nobody can find him, and like everybody was freaking out. And then it felt like, really, it was like, I think it was maybe like 4 hours or so later. It felt like 15 minutes. But pretty much right away, it was like, Drake Bell found, everything's fine. But like in the time that he went missing, apparently what happened is he left his phone in his car while he went into a friend's house or something.
Oh my God, dude.
And like his wife or something
is he
couldn't
that
get a hold
like
of him.
is he that like prevalent on Twitter?
I don't know.
Like, is he like always posting? Like
I think
you'd
I
have
saw
to think
that he
if
had
somebody
been reported missing to the police
No,
or something.
because I think it was his wife who couldn't get a hold of him. Like he left his phone in the car.
Oh, okay.
And so he it's just like in the time that she couldn't get a hold of him, there was like 15 media outlets who had all reported on him missing within this short little window. Like how are they so quick?
Aren't you supposed to wait like 24 hours before the police do anything anyways?
No, that's incorrect. The first 24 hours are the most important. If someone goes missing, do not wait to report them.
Okay, because every like video I've seen or like I guess movies, right? Like that could be totally tricked. But that makes, because that's the way that I thought about it. Like if your daughter's like, if your daughter's an hour late from getting home from school, like there's a problem, right? Like you need to address that right now.
See, that's funny.
I was always like, if the police are like, oh, you got to wait 24 hours, like wait 18 hours until you can call me. I'm like, what the fuck is that about, dude?
That's funny because but like in my circle, like parents I know have been told that they have to wait 24 hours. Because when I was in high school, we were all just a bunch of
delinquents
and potheads and everything, and kids were running away and all sorts of stuff all the time. And my mom was pretty much friends with all of my like friends' moms. And so I would hear about these things where it's like, one of the kids ran away and like even I didn't know where they were or whatever. and the mom would talk to the police. They're like, oh, we got to wait 24 hours for, all this thing. And maybe it's changed in the last few years, but that's definitely how it was when I was in high school.
It depends on the
Hopefully
person.
it did. Yeah.
So like if your partner comes home every day between 6 and 6:30 and it's 9 p.m. and you haven't heard from them, that person is missing.
For
if
sure.
it's someone who is like always kind of erratic and like goes off the grid every
you have
for
to
2
wait
days
just
every
to
week.
See. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's the way that it should be, in my opinion. That's how it should work. Is that
the flip side is if they don't find them in 48 hours, they're not going to.
Right.
So like, why would you wait for half of that?
That's true.
Yeah.
Good point. Very good point.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. But yeah, so I just thought it was so funny that like, and I don't know, maybe it was one of those situations where every day Drake is home at a certain time or whatever, and his wife is just used to that, and he was
false alarm
gone. But it wasn't funny that like it happened and that there was that the whole thing was like a situation. What was funny is the media's reaction to it, and just like all of these
just
like
instant like murders, like he's been murdered by 7 people, like there's a cult in the woods that have taken him.
Like literally everybody on Twitter, like, thoughts and prayers with Drake Bell, I hope that he's found soon. And like all of the media outlets are just like, Drake Bell missing, like child star of Drake and Josh, and like missing and all this stuff, and just every media outlet trying to get like their 10 seconds of fame by reporting on this situation that's blowing up. And then he was found and nobody fucking reported on it. It was one guy who was like, oh, by the way, they found him. and everybody's just like, oh yeah, that's not as applicable as Drake Bell missing.
Not as cool. Not as
cool. And so I thought that was so funny. What a weird world we live in. You never know what to expect in the morning on the internet.
Tabloids, dude, they're crazy.
My weird fun fact is that he went to my high school.
Really? No fucking way.
Cool,
really?
dude, that's awesome.
Not at the same time, but
yeah.
That's
cool.
I don't want to dox you. Where we live? Where we used to live?
I went to the Orange County High School of the Arts.
Oh, okay.
So obviously I was in the creative writing part of that. He was not. I'm sure he was in some kind of acting part.
Right.
But anyway,
But were you there at the same time? Or
no.
Oh, okay.
No, I was there when Glee was big. And the creepy teacher on Glee was also an alumni. And so he would just show up on campus on Fridays. And it's like, you're an adult. Why are you here?
Yeah.
That's hilarious, dude. That's awesome.
That is weird. Was he... Did he play a creepy character on the show, or was he just himself creepy?
He wasn't creepy. It was just weird that he showed up at a high school for no reason.
Just like walking around like, I'm just taking a stroll, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that is a little weird.
The school administrators loved it because there was so much publicity.
Yep.
Oh,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Gabe, could you imagine showing up at your high school just to be like, I'm here just walking around campus?
So I've seen the last couple of days, I've seen stories of older people who have faked to be high school students.
Oh, that would be sketchy. Yeah.
It's sketchy. It's really sketchy.
Oh, that's sad.
I feel like that's a different situation, though. It's
no,
sure.
It is.
Look
for
at
sure.
me,
It totally is.
I'm famous.
Yes,
you should
totally
care.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the guy probably loved the attention he would get when he would show up at the school, like because all like every high schooler I knew watched Glee. Yeah,
gnarly, dude. Yeah, massive. Yeah, if anybody, nobody famous came out of my high school. Nobody famous came out of my high school. We had football players. That was it. We had a couple of football players that played great football, and that was the most publicity that my school got.
Yeah. Did any of your teachers ever tell you to like come back in 10 years and come say hi to me?
Well, so
like, did you guys have those teachers?
No, I've gotten like there's a reunion in a couple of years that I'm gonna go to. Like I've gotten the email from the staff. It was a newsletter that they put out. Someone in high school did the thing, And so like, of course, most places do every 10 years or every 20 years, they do a reunion, right? Like, like my grandpa just went to his 80th high school reunion.
Oh shit.
He's like
Damn.
97 years old and went to his reunion, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See, that I get.
Yeah,
I would go to
that
my
makes
80th.
sense. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But like your 10th year, like, you know, like
yeah.
I haven't done much. Like I don't want
Anyone
to
got a job
yet?
No.
Yeah.
Exactly, dude. Like wait till I have a career and then I'll go and I'm happy.
So we're all still smoking pot and working at Walmart?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
I had one teacher, she was my 6th grade teacher, and she was honestly probably like the best teacher I ever had.
Yeah.
She was super cool. And she always told me, she's like, come back and like say hi to me. And I always meant to, but then I always like felt weird about it. Like once I started like driving and stuff, I was like, oh, I could drive over there and just say hi at lunch or something. But then it's like, what would we talk about?
Dude.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So regarding to that, I did. So my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Miller, was incredible. Best teacher I've ever had. And when I was in high school, there was a class, I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically to get a credit, you had to go help out at a different school. Whether that was, the one that I chose was an elementary school. And so I went and helped the PE teacher, who was the same teacher that I had. And we just, pointed the kids like, you're going to run here to here, whatever. It didn't matter. But I went and I was like, my goal was to like see Mrs. Miller again. And so I like went to the principal. I was like, is Mrs. Miller still here? She's like, no, she's not. And I was like, fuck, that's like the whole reason why I came here, dude. Like I wanted to see her again because she was amazing, but she wasn't there. So I did it for like 2 weeks and then was like, nah, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah. Do you guys have any teachers from like high school or anything that like, not to be like too dramatic about it, but like changed something about you? No. Like that made like a big impact?
Elementary school was it for me. Mrs. Miller was a huge impact on the way that I thought. That was it.
Okay. What about you, Lily? Anything?
Yeah, like I said, I went to a weird school, so I had a lot of really incredible writing teachers.
Okay.
That were just like the coolest and the best. So,
nice.
All of them? Is that a cop-out?
Right, sure. Yeah, I didn't have too many that stood out in my head, like just kind of running through them. Like there's nothing like specific about them, but there was this one teacher, and I think her name, I'm trying to remember. I think her name was Miss Lindsay. I feel bad for not remembering now. But
dude,
she
so
literally,
it's all good. She
literally like got me into reading. Like that teacher is the only reason why I started reading at all. And so whenever I kind of think back to high school, I always remember how she was like, because she gave us cool books, like books that weren't just like, read this like vague classic literature kind of thing,
like Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah, like go read the Odyssey or something. It's like, okay, I don't really want to do that. She would give us like a lot of really cool books. There was a lot of like kind of like dystopian young adult kind of books that she would like pull lessons from and stuff. And that was where I read the Giver for the first time.
Yeah, that's cool.
The Giver is like one of my favorite like non-fantasy books of all time, just because at that moment in my life, like it blew my mind. I was like, books, this is what books can be. Holy shit. And so yeah, I always kind of think back to that, like, yeah, that's kind of where I started.
Did you ever have a teacher like recommend or endorse like fantasy, just like blatant fantasy?
No, I think at that time I wasn't like super into fantasy, because it wasn't until like way later in high school.
I'm thinking like Cirque du Freak.
No, nothing like that. Well, I mean, kind of like she had us reading like dystopian stuff. I wish I could remember what half of them are, but they would be something like Hunger Games or something like that. Yeah. All right. So let's Lily, do you have a topic that you particularly want to talk about?
Other than dropping that I went to the same high school as Drake Bell. That was all I had going.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like the mic drop.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about
okay.
What you got?
I was just gonna say, let's spin the wheel.
Oh yeah, we'll do that at the end for sure.
Right.
Yeah, we'll spin the wheel at the end.
All right.
Okay, so let's real quick, and because I could talk about this forever, so you guys gotta rein me in here. But Blink 182 is back.
I don't.
And I just got tickets with our third co-host Chris.
Really?
Yeah.
You lucky bitch.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know anything about Blink-182, so.
Do you know like all the small things?
Yes, I
Yeah.
know the
Okay.
songs, but I
Okay.
never was like, I'm gonna listen to Blink-182 in the car.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah.
It was I think a little bit before my time when that was.
Yeah.
Huge,
It was probably a little bit before time.
Yeah.
That was like my entire like childhood and in high school was Blink 182. Do you have any particular attachment to Blink 182, Lily?
Nostalgia.
Okay.
They weren't my band, but yeah,
right.
totally.
You
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
You do.
Yeah. So it was like Blink 182 and Green Day were like my two like favorite bands of all time. Still kind of are, I guess. Like I don't really listen to a lot of new music, so a lot of what I listen to is kind of nostalgia based. But it was like Blink 182 and Green Day. Like I know the words to every single song from both of those artists.
So are they like, is Blink 182 back for like a reunion tour?
Yeah. So like 10 or 15 years ago, or maybe it was.
Because they have to be older, right?
Yeah, no, they're super old now. Yeah, it was probably like 10 or 15 years ago. I'm trying to get my timeline straight. But for the majority of the time that I have been listening to Blink 182, Tom, the lead singer, Tom DeLonge, had left the band. They had some big falling out.
Yep.
And so Mark Hoppus, who is the lead guitar, I think, or is he the bassist? God damn it. I think he's lead guitar.
Everyone's gonna tweet at you now.
I know,
right.
I know.
You're
People are gonna be like,
dude.
fake.
You're in trouble.
Fake Blink fan. No, but yeah, so Mark Hoppus took over, and he became lead vocals, and I still like everything that he did. I think that Mark did a great job of keeping the spirit of Blink 182 and kind of the sound and just everything in general. I think he did a great job.
Yeah.
But like, there is no way that you can say that something wasn't missing with Tom not being there. And so the majority of the time, like I said, that I had been listening to him, Tom had been gone. So I never got to see a live show with Tom. It was always Mark. And so then probably 8 months ago or so, it got announced that Mark Hoppus, he has cancer. Oh. And so Tom went to him and they just like put everything aside. He's like, you know, you're going to beat this cancer, but whether you do or not, like, let's do a reunion tour. Why don't I just like, let's just set aside all of our differences. I'll come back and we'll play together again. And we'll do like this big reunion tour. So this might be the last one they ever do. You know, you don't know. And so I was so fucking excited, dude. Because again, I've never like there's so many people I know, Chris included, who got to see them live with Tom as the lead singer. And I've never gotten to have that experience. So I'm so excited. It's in June.
Where at?
Pledge Arena?
Is it like Spokane, Idaho, Washington?
Seattle. Yeah, Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm super excited for that. There was something else I was gonna say about that.
That you're gonna be in Seattle and we're gonna hang out.
Yeah, dude,
let's hang out for sure. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys, what are your favorite like bands, but also like, is there any albums that you can listen to front to back and like not skip a single song?
I could probably still do any Fountains of Wayne song.
Yes.
And know most of
right.
I think I could do every word. If I like had the lyrics in front of me, I could probably do any. They had a lot of albums.
Yeah, I think I'll admit I haven't listened to all their stuff, but like Welcome Interstate Managers, that is my like easily one of my favorite albums of all time. That is one of the albums I could listen to front to back without skipping a single song. It's so
Shout
good.
out to Sarah, who was the one who introduced me to them. I'm gonna give her that credit, even though she's not here.
Nice. Yeah. Gabe?
Yeah, I probably don't. There's a couple modern, I still listen to hip hop and rap for the most part. There's a lot of Christian rap that I really enjoy. NF in particular. Is a Christian rap artist. Him and then Token is another one. And so
wasn't Tech Nine one you were really into for a while?
Yeah. So when I was like freshman in high school, yes, Tech Nine.
Yeah. Do you ever go back to like your high school music? Because that's like all I do now. I feel like I don't listen to any modern music.
I really like the really dirty, gnarly rap. Because Tech9 is like a hardcore, like sick rapper. Like he's like really
I could never get into him, but
no,
yeah, I understand.
So I couldn't again, right? Like it's really gnarly. And so I really enjoyed like the wholesome hip hop rappers that are not just like, kill a bitch, hide the body, whatever. Cause like that's what it's about, dude. Like that's a lot of the stuff. It's really gnarly. And so like any like really just kind of more wholesome, not so violent stuff, I enjoy NF. And so anything that's just not as violent, and more like centered not around violence and rape and shit. It was so bad. Anyways, I used to like that stuff because it was like, it was the cool shit to listen to,
It was edgy.
It was edgy and just like right on the cusp of like brutally like something that people don't like, that was the appeal.
That was the thing with Andre Nicotina. Like that was an artist that was really popular when I was in high school. And at the time I really liked it. Now there's no way I could listen to it.
There's no way. Exactly.
There's so really much gnarly. Nasty shit.
There's a Token. Token is like a very young, new rapper that he's not Christian. Like he's not perfect in the sense of like vulgarity or whatever, which is fine. I don't really care about that. But he's a really good like lyricist or I don't know how you say that. Yes, lyricist. Thank you. He rhymes really well and he's got great hooks and all that stuff, and I like it. And he did a thing with Tech9, and they both rap the song, and that I loved. Like seeing Tech9 again in that light was really cool. But yeah, so I don't know. I just like I don't like what I liked before. It's all a new kind of thing.
Yeah. My favorite artist who's making music now, unlike nostalgia fans, is Queen Herbie, who she does rap R&B. But it's a lot of like self-affirmation.
That's
like
cool.
empowering.
I like that stuff.
Yeah,
I put that in my phone.
I certainly wouldn't call her a clean rapper.
Sure.
No,
that's
and that's it though. It's just not like violent, It's
not like,
super violent. She's my like pump you up, like on my way to a meeting I'm stressed out about. Like
awesome.
Play her really loud in the car. Yeah.
Gabe, you should also look up Atmosphere. He was big when I was in like late high school. And a lot of his stuff is just kind of like good vibes, kind of rap.
What was say that one more time, Lily? The name of that artist for me,
Queen
please?
Herbie.
Herbie. Okay. All right.
Queen is spelled with a V. Q-V-E-E-N.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like in high school, because in high school I was very much like your stereotypical skateboarder.
Yeah.
I skateboarded every single day, and listened to a lot of just anything that had a good beat that could kind of get you in the flow of at a skate park or something.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, dude, it's so hard for me to listen to any kind of rap, like at all. Like I just can't, like, I don't know. And it's not like, I don't know. It's not like a thing where I'm like, oh, I'm like offended by this music or anything, but it is just like, it's just not like my style at all. Like now I listen to like,
that's fair.
Like obviously I love Blink-182 and a lot of like punk rock and stuff. But I also just like singer-songwriter, like kind of guy in his acoustic guitar kind of music.
Yeah.
Like Elliott Smith and stuff like that. And it's funny how music changes. And there's nothing like modern that I enjoy. I feel like I'm kind of becoming this curmudgeon that just like music was better when I was in high school with our Blink-182 and our Fountains of Wayne. And I don't know. I just can't. There's so much modern music, and there's the occasional like, dude, Olivia Rodrigo's "Good for You." You cannot hear that song and not tell me that is like anything but a perfect song. That's so good. But so it's the occasional earworms like that'll get stuck in my head and I'll fall in love with them. But for the most part, I don't know. I just kind of stick to what I know, I guess.
You're telling me to spam your Discord with Queen Herbie music videos. Got it.
Oh, God.
Yes. I'll watch him.
Yeah.
I'll watch him.
It helps that she's gorgeous.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go, Spence.
There you go. All right, let's talk about have you guys seen that there's a Twilight TV show coming out?
No, have not seen that.
Bro.
That's what I was saying. Like I'm like 9 out of 10 of these things, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there's
Tell me about it.
I mean, I don't think there's really much to know about it other than
was it just... like did somebody like whisper like, hey, there's gonna be this, or did they release like a trailer for the show?
No, there's no trailer. Let me see if let me see who is making the Twilight TV.
I gotta say, the books are one thing. The movies are all right.
Yeah, Spencer had me read one that was from do you remember that was from the opposite perspective?
Yeah, it was called Love and Death.
Yeah,
and
I read that, and it was like
gender
one of the most phenomenal books that I've ever read.
Yeah,
and I've seen all the Twilight movies, and this one was like just astonishingly good.
That was like the 6th book she wrote.
Yeah,
I believe that.
Twilight, the first one, a little rough.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But the movie, I think, cleaned it up, like tightened it a lot,
simplified a little bit. Yeah,
I still think there are some weird themes in the books that I would not necessarily recommend them to someone because of. Yeah, but like, yeah, movies are fun. They're fun, garbage popcorn movies.
Yep, definitely.
And also, I loved Teen Wolf. So this TV show might be for me.
I also watched Teen Wolf and
me too. I fucking love.
It was awesome. It was
Matter of fact, I gotta check in on this.
They're rebooting that too.
But they're coming out with a new season, right? Or did they already?
I've only seen headlines. I don't have the guts to click on the articles.
Yeah, you and me both.
Okay, yeah. Teen Wolf, the movie, is a 2023 American supernatural thriller. It came out in January. Okay, so it's already out.
We missed it.
Yeah, but it does have like Scott and all of the characters and stuff. So I gotta watch that sometime this week. What's it on? Is it on Paramount Plus? Okay, we have that because we're watching.
We have that Yellow Jackets, baby. Let's go.
Okay, cool. Dude, what were we talking about? Holy shit.
You were trying to talk about Twilight, and I interrupted you with
That's right. Yes. Okay, so first of all, I watched all of Teen Wolf, like all the seasons. I really love that show. But Twilight, yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with the TV show. I'm not as outraged as I think some people are. I think the movies were fine. I thought the books were fine. I don't know. Now there's no way I could reread the books. But when I was like 18, I read those books for sure.
18, I think, is solid.
Yeah.
I might be a little younger than you. I was 12 when the first book came out. So the target demo, 100%.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some weird messages in there for young girls.
I wouldn't let my daughter read them, that's for sure, if I had a daughter.
But if you're like 18, 20 or older, and you just want like some fun nonsense reading, go for it.
Yeah, if you can formulate your own opinions and, just not be so impressionable.
But he's mean to you because he loves you so much. That's rough.
Yeah, that is super rough. There's some pretty weird things in those books that definitely could not be written today. But I think that it's just kind of schlock enjoyable. And I think at the time I was really into vampire stuff, and there just wasn't a lot of good vampire things. And I think since then there's been a lot that have kind of come out that are like actually good vampire books, like The Lights of Prague. That's a really, really good vampire book. Shay Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire. That's a really good one. I know there's other ones that I've read and really enjoyed. But at the time it was really just kind of like Twilight, and I wasn't even there for the whole romance of it all. I just liked the vampires and the fun action and stuff they would get into. And so I'm interested to see what they'll do with a Twilight TV show. It looks like it's being made through Lionsgate, so
well, they did the movies too, I think.
Yeah, so it's got to have a fairly good budget, and I imagine that they would also be sticking pretty close to the source material if they're kind of based off, even if it's a copy of the movies, it's still the movies were pretty true to the source material. So
but they trimmed a lot of the fat. That's why the movies were better than the books.
Yeah. Anyways, what was I gonna go into next? What do you guys want to talk about? Do you see anything on here you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm curious to what your grievances are about Titanic and Horizon.
Let's air some grievances.
So okay, let's start with
Nope.
Titanic. Nope, start with Titanic. Tell me what the fuck the problem is with Titanic, because the other day you were freaking out because I haven't seen it.
I'm so glad you asked.
Okay.
The problem that I have with Titanic is that you said you were gonna fucking watch it and haven't watched it yet.
That's your grievance? Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, okay. All right.
So the grievance is with Gabe, not with Titanic.
Not with Titanic. Okay, because that's what I was like, what the fuck? Because this dude was like on my ass.
Titanic
rightly so. I know you were. I've talked to several people. My fiance, my parents, they've all said yes. Fucking watch Titanic.
For the love of God,
and I haven't
to your
seen
family, Gabe.
Yeah.
Have you seen Titanic, Lily?
Of course.
Okay, good.
I feel like 98% of all Americans have. I'm just like the odd one out, dude.
Dude,
I mean, only like once, but I sure have.
Yeah,
dude,
well, that counts. That
so
counts.
Here's the thing, though. You should rewatch it now. Because
dude, Spencer called me like crying. Like this is like the best piece of cinema I've ever fucking seen ever.
Yes, because I saw it when I was young when it came out. I was like 7 or something.
I just remember going to the Titanic Museum and feeling the ice cold water that the people felt. That's the only recollection I have of anything related to that.
Exactly, yeah. And so I saw this movie when I saw it in theaters when I was like super young. And since then, what's that?
I've heard that there's some like nudity and some stuff. I've never seen it. But...
Yeah, there's a little bit of nudity.
There's some titties.
Yeah, there's some titties.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But so then at some point, like my mom bought at the time it was VHS and it came on 2 VHS tapes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
She had it in the house, and they were like very occasionally she would put it on. I probably saw it not even in its entirety one other time around the age of like 11 or something when she like had it on and I was passing through and sat down for a few minutes. So I hadn't really thought about it for 20 years, right? And so then it for some reason, Gabe, do you remember why I watched it? Did I ever say?
No, yeah. It was one of those things where Spencer was just sitting one night and he saw something and he's like,
I saw a YouTube video.
You saw a YouTube video that like
mentioned
the Titanic.
Yeah.
And then you went balls deep on this.
I was like, I wonder if this movie still holds up. And that night I started it, Lily. I started it at 9:30 at night.
And guess who got the phone call at 2 a.m?
Yeah. And dude, this is
was
like
that the podcast phone call.
No, I don't think he actually called me, but he definitely texted me. He's like,
it was the long text.
Fucking movie right now.
Yeah.
This is why.
And then I ranted about it on our last Creators Corner, so I won't go as in depth as I did because I talked about it for like 30 minutes on an episode a few weeks ago. But I did watch it. I stayed up until because I was doing some other stuff, so I paused it occasionally, and I think I was up until about 2 or 3 in the morning watching this movie. And by the end of the movie, it's kind of a joke on the podcast that I cry at a lot of books, like The King Killer. Those are really emotional books, and I cry at those. And it's kind of become like this recurring joke that I tear up at a lot of books. Movies, not that way, like at all. Like I cannot think of another movie that made me tear up in recent years, at least. I got to the end of the Titanic when they're on the fucking raft. And she's like, just hold on, Jack. Just hold on. And I'm fucking bawling my eyes out, guys. I'm fucking crying so hard that I needed tissues, like actual tissues, to wipe up my eyes. That's how hard I was crying. And then at the end of the movie where, like, because it goes back and forth between, like, young Rose and old Rose. And we see old Rose, and she, like, finally gives up the necklace and, like, puts it back into the sea. And then she, like, dies that night. And I'm just fucking crying. And dude, it is such a good movie. It is so good. Both of you Go watch the Titanic. It's so good. And just like the whole okay, I'm not gonna go into rant, but the whole cinematography is so good. It was incredible for what the technology was visually at the time. Like
When did it come
mind blowing.
out?
90s, yeah.
90s, okay.
Yeah, like 97 or 98
Gotcha.
or something like that.
Year I was born, maybe.
All right, so my other grievance is about the new Horizon DLC. Do you play video games, Lily?
Yes, not Horizon though.
Okay. So Horizon, I have two ways to air this grievance. One of them is more at like the company because they put out Horizon Forbidden West, the newest Horizon game, on PS4. But the fucking DLC that continues the main story is only on the PS5.
That's garbage.
Fucking garbage, bro.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, God, that could not have been a worse move. So now I'm about to buy like a really nice PC in the next few weeks, but it's not even on PC. It's not yet. It will be eventually. Yeah. So I'm just gonna wait it out. Okay. But like I would have to buy a PS5 in order to I'm just like fuck. And like there's certain games where like they've only come out for PS5, so it's like, okay, I need a PS5 to play that game. But if you put your game out on PS4, I expect your DLC to be on PS4.
Or at least both, because like you can go like I have a PS5 and most games like you can download the PS4 version or the PS5. Like for instance, we've been playing Borderlands together. Like all the add-ons, PS4 you download and I download PS5. We can do it together. It's just that's a bad marketing move, dude.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people were pissed. There had to have been a fucking ton of people that were upset about that.
I haven't looked into it too much, but there's gotta be
bad. Yeah, it's gotta be bad.
My other airing of a grievance, Gabe.
Okay. Is this directed at me too?
Yes.
This one's not even on the notes, dude.
I love this.
It
I
is.
just like watching other people give someone a hard
let's hear
time.
it. I'm ready.
Great.
Bring it in. I'm ready.
Gabe, you have a PS5.
I do.
And you haven't fucking finished Horizon Forbidden West.
You
have the ability to play the DLC.
I do. That's true.
I hate that you can play it and I can't because I want to so bad and you don't give a shit.
Dude, come over. I'll let you play it. You can buy it and play it all you want.
The thing is, wait. In order to play the DLC, you have to play through the whole fucking main story.
I understand that. I get that. I totally get that. I get that.
There's to your account on his his PlayStation. I guess I only do Xbox.
Wouldn't that be cool if that works? Yeah, I think that's how it should work.
If life were that simple.
Yeah, but that's not how they play it. And I agree. I think that'd be fucking genius because no way that happens. But yeah, no, I have no excuses, dude. I played 4 hours of it, and this is what I felt. I felt like I'm just playing the first one over again.
Oh no, it's couldn't be more
I know
wrong.
that's not true. I know it is. But I got into whatever that ninja game's called. I forget the name. Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
I downloaded that and played that and was hooked. And so yeah, no excuses. I still have it. It's downloaded on my PlayStation. It's right there. I know. I haven't given up yet. Just don't think that I've given up on it because I haven't.
All right.
We just have 4 more years of Borderlands. All right, and then I'm ready for it.
Oh man.
Okay, well, I can move my Twitter DM grievance to on air if you'd like.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, do it.
We were talking about Baldur's Gate 3, and you didn't know what I was talking about.
That's
only the most exciting video game of all time.
Yes, I know. I am ashamed because there's a new Baldur's Gate coming out, right? Or is it already out? That's how little
early
I know.
Access is out, but they finally have a release date and it's for September and I'm so excited.
Okay. Yeah. So Baldur's Gate was never one that I really got into. Same with like Diablo. Like, are you a Diablo player?
Only in my later years, not when it was actually popular. So I didn't play Baldur's Gate. I've played the Larian, the studio's earlier games. So they did Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2. Also all of the earlier ones of those, but God, those are so old. Who's played those? So I've been following them. Like I kickstarted Divinity Original Sin 2, they're considered an indie studio, which is ridiculous because they're doing Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
I've been playing their games for years. I have sunk so many hours into Divinity. I replayed it like 8 times, start to finish. It's the best. And they're the ones doing Baldur's Gate. Like, I'm more excited for Larian than I am for Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you never played the other Baldur's Gate games?
No, I played.
Then why are you yelling at me?
But because at least I know it's coming out. I don't care about the first 2. I care about the third
one. That's great. Oh man. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Gabe and I got in for the beta for Diablo.
Yeah.
The new Diablo, and I was like, I saw the trailers for it, and I was never a Diablo person, but this time I was like, oh, like it's new, it's going to be updated for like modern, gamers, and they'll probably like, have some differences compared to the old ones and just make it more fresh and new. Same fucking game. It's always been.
See, well, yeah, of course it's played. It's the same. It's Diablo, dude.
It's like the exact same.
No,
I was hoping it would be like fresh and new.
I disagree. I totally disagree. I put 90 hours in Diablo 3.
Yeah. Okay.
I Paragon like 4 times, dude. I was like all into Diablo 3. And mind you, the gameplay is the same. It's still top down. You still have to hit the same buttons to do the same stuff. But in the missions and the way that graphics, we could say, the storyline, like it's all new.
Yeah.
So like if you don't like Diablo, then you won't like this new one.
Yeah, I think it's just like it's just not for me. Like I was playing it and I got to like,
which sucks because I made you buy the fucking $70 version of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still gonna play it when it comes out because it'll just be a game that you and I can play together and have fun.
For sure.
But at the same time, I was just wanting so much more.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Spin the wheel.
Okay, let's spin the wheel.
What is on Spin the Wheel? I'm so fucking curious. Let's hear it.
Okay.
You haven't done this yet with us, right?
No.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
It's all going to be a surprise for me.
It's a surprise to me too. I have no idea what's on the wheel. No clue.
I will say real quick that the Rothfuss controversy, because one of you guys was asking me about it earlier,
both of us maybe.
is that I just don't like Rothfuss like as a person in general because I think he's just kind of a dick. But he made this he ran like this charity live stream like well over a year ago where he's like, if we get the donations to a certain amount, then it's I'll release the prologue of the 3rd book and you guys can do that.
Did, yeah.
And well, he did. He released the prologue and we got to read it. And then the next like level up was like, if we make it past like, it was something crazy like $5 million or something like that. And it's all for a charity, so it's for a good cause. Yeah. But you're getting millions of dollars of donations from fans. Yeah. He's like, if we get to 5 million, then I will release a whole chapter from the 3rd book, and I'll have it read by like a group of like audiobook narrators. And I don't think he expected people to meet the goal. Like I don't think he like comprehended how ravenous people are for that book.
That was a mistake.
And they met it, and he has been radio silent for a whole year, if not more.
Damn.
And so people are starting to get pissed. There was this whole thing on Twitter about a month ago. That was like a month or 2 ago. That was like, hey, it's the year anniversary of when Rothfuss said he was going to give us an entire chapter from The Doors of Stone, and he literally hasn't said anything about
Next thing you know, there's going to be like storm the Rothfuss house, like Area 51.
I mean, like I really wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know, maybe it's going too far to say that there might be a lawsuit, but I wouldn't be surprised if some like angry fan tried to.
And that would be legitimate, dude. You can't just promise something public like that. Contract binding as giving money.
Yeah.
You can't just do that.
in order to make it to millions of dollars, there's certain people in that group contributing thousands and
Or
hundreds of
hundreds of
thousands of
thousands.
thousands of
Yeah,
dollars.
dude.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so it's like that, like that's not an insignificant amount of money.
No.
So yeah.
Oh,
Man.
the chaos demon in me really wants him to release absolute garbage.
And just see what happens.
It's the first chapter. Sorry you didn't want me to take the time to edit it.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of what people were saying. It's like release something that
it's
you've
like
written.
Follow through, regardless if it's shit or not. Just
like,
follow through.
Yeah, and if you need to edit it later to make it fit in the main book, like whatever, but give us like some sort of work.
What you said you were gonna do.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the Rothfuss controversy. But I mostly just I'm a fan of his. I'm a huge fan of his writing. I love the King Killer Chronicles. It's easily one of my favorite series ever. But just him as a person, that time after time, he just proves to be just a dick, just a complete dick.
You're just here so you won't get fined.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that he. I don't know, in his live streams and stuff, if anybody asks about the third book, he just like blows up on them. He's like, I don't want to talk about the third book. And it's like, I get it because I'm sure so many people are asking about it, but at the same time, it's like you kind of walked into this one, man. Like,
yeah.
But I think that's important and okay to say, like, hey, you don't have to be a good person to make a good like creation. And obviously there's a line, like
sure,
you can go too far in one direction.
Yeah,
sure.
But if you're just an asshole, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still make great content.
Yeah, I always say like separate the art from the artist. I think that you can still enjoy a lot of books even if the author is kind of a shit person. And
I do think there's a line, like you can be too shitty of a person for me to ignore it.
Or when the shitty like drags into the book and you can firmly see it, like that's got to be a
so here's the one author I'm a little bit hypocritical with is Mike Shackle, and he released a series called the first book is called We Are the Dead. I can't remember what the whole series is, but it's been recommended to me a number of times. It's like a grimdark book, and it seems like something that would be right up my alley, and the audiobook narrator sounds really good and stuff. But there was just like that whole thing, and this didn't really become a huge thing. It was just something that I saw when Brandon Sanderson had ran his like Kickstarter and made all this money. Mike Shackle was kind of out there like giving Sanderson a bunch of shit and like, oh, well, I hope he's going to take a bunch of that money and give back to like, the indie community and stuff. And it was like he ended up doing that. Like Sanderson literally went on, he had a whole live stream where he went on Kickstarter and like gave back to all these smaller creators. But at the same time, it's like, what makes you think that you deserve any piece of that money? Like, what? That's just so like entitled, and it just blew my mind. And just seeing his like subsequent comments after that, I was like, I just think that I don't really like you as a person. And so that has kind of bled into like how I view the books. And like whenever I do go to pick up the books, I'm like, I always have like a bad taste in my mouth because of that like interaction I had with him. And so I guess it depends on like how personal a level it is, right? With said author. But for me, the whole Mike Shackle thing, I was like, yeah, dude, like that would be great if he like gave back to like the indie community and stuff, but also he deserves every single penny of that 42 million, and the majority of it isn't even really going to him because it's mostly going to like production and stuff. So I don't know, it just like rubbed me the wrong way.
That's so funny because that Kickstarter is why I have no interest in reading Brandon Sanderson.
Really? Okay, why is that?
I feel like that's not the platform that Kickstarter is. I think he chose the wrong venue for his system.
Oh, okay, interesting. What venue what other one would work better?
Literally anything. A Kickstarter is for like self-funded projects that like people who need crowdfunding.
Whereas
that's
he's
the
like
wrong thing for him.
Rich, right? Like yeah.
And when it is something like Kickstarter, it is a zero-sum game. Like, the people who are funding things can't fund everything.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you get to attention and stuff, it's like, yeah, you don't, people can read any book, right? That's fine. But if they're putting their money behind it, they are choosing between him or an indie project.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the people that funded it are the people that would be buying those books anyway. And like, I don't know, like it was for us for the audiobooks, we got 4 audiobooks for $60. And so it wasn't like I can't speak for anybody else, but in our case, like I can't think of anybody else at the time that I would have funded outside of, like, I think like the platform, you bring up a good point, and like he probably could have used a different platform, but I think like I said, the people that were funding it, they wanted those books anyway, and also like it's just a place to do that. Like he could have done it anywhere. Like whether somebody funds him on GoFundMe or some other platform, they're still spending that money.
GoFundMe would have been a solid spot.
I do think it's the optics of it. Yeah. Like Kickstarter was the wrong place for that.
Yeah.
Just optics wise, that makes sense.
Yeah, because that's what I would say.
Yeah, if people want to buy his books, I get it. If he wants to self-publish, that's fine. But like Kickstarter, really?
Kickstarter's like,
are you kickstarting your project?
Yes.
It's been started, honey.
It's been started for a long time, and you've been writing forever. Kickstarter's like the guy that like, typed a little paragraph into Facebook or whatever, and people liked it, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna do this and start it and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. I slightly disagree, but we can have different opinions. That's totally fine. That's more than fair. But I do understand your point, and that gives me a little bit to think about for sure. So let's spin the wheel. This is as we get to the end here. This is just like super dumb questions that are just fun and goofy.
Oh, we do get to see the wheel.
We get to see the wheel, yeah. He makes the wheel. I can't see it spinning yet, but there it is.
I can hear it spinning.
Yep, I heard it spinning too. Now I see it. I can't read that right. Oh, that's a good one, dude. That's a good one.
If you got reincarnated as an animal, what would you want to be?
I absolutely know the answer to that question. You guys ready?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Golden retriever.
Okay. All right.
Hands down. Well, okay. Let me preface this: golden retriever that goes to a good dog owning home.
Good home, yeah. Okay.
Because, dude, golden retrievers, just like in my opinion, are like the most like just loving and like understanding dogs that there ever was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to be one in a great home. Like they're just living the life. Of course, like there's an eagle, like that'd be so cool to fly or whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
dude, like I think long term, like social wise, because like eagles, like you kill and you fly and you eat, and that's about it.
Let's see, how long does an eagle live?
Oh, they live for a while. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Bald eagles like 20 to 30 years.
Yep. Some parrots can live like 80 or 90 years. Like birds can go a while. But I'm more on the side of like
fly?
Parrots fly. Oh yeah. Well, it depends if they're clipped or not. But yeah, most good parrot owners won't clip parrots. Some do, just depending on circumstances. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's not.
Sure.
But yeah, just on a level of like loving animals and like, seeing my dogs loved like by me and how awesome their life is and like just how like comfortable they are. Like I would just love to be a dog, dude.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would want to either swim or fly.
Yeah, that's where I was going to. Yeah.
I think maybe an orca.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Because
they are a long time too.
Yeah,
and
they live
so
a long
smart.
time. They are social.
Yes.
And just like people love them. I know it's
they're
because
highly
they're
social. Yeah.
But
still though,
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Let's see. The fastest swimming fish is the sailfish.
They fly, dude. They jump out of the water and fly.
Yeah. Top speeds of nearly 70 miles per hour. Holy shit. So yeah, whatever I would be, I would want to be fast. I would want to be very, very fast. Because
Now, why is that? So think about this in the, like, if you're picking a fish, fast fish or unless you're like endangered, they're the first ones to go. Sailfish, hunted.
Mm.
Tuna, hunted. Tuna, fish.
Okay.
Swordfish, hunted.
Yeah.
All that meat is like prime money. Whereas like an orca, like you kill an orca, dude, you are fucked.
That's true. That's true.
You got to say that you were a golden retriever in a good home, so
That's
maybe
good point.
that
Okay, selfish in a good waters where nobody's. That's a good point. Very, very fair. Yeah.
Put some parameters on our
answer. Good point. Good point. Good point.
What's the let's see what the fastest flying bird is.
Peregrine falcon.
Oh shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Peregrine falcon. Okay.
Yeah, they dive at like 240 miles an hour, I think.
Yeah, that'd be a cool
yeah.
That'd be a cool animal because anything I am, I would love to be just like super fast, even if it's like what am I thinking of? Cheetah? Or
yeah, cheetahs.
Is it cheetah or 80 miles?
Cheetah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, something like that where I'm like super quick because I just love like the thrill of
speed,
going fast and going fast at like an animal speed where your whole body is working and doing that. Like
so
that,
crazy.
That'd be so wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that'd be great. We want to spin it again?
Yeah. What else we got?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, dude.
And win?
Which celebrity could you fight and win?
I don't even know how to answer this, dude, because I am not a fighter. I've never ever been a fighter.
I was gonna be really gross and just try to come up with the oldest celebrity I could think of.
Right, yeah.
I was gonna say Robert De Niro, but he would probably kick the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody I could think of, dude. All my favorite celebrities would fuck me up in a fight.
It does not specify physical fight, however.
Oh,
okay.
Right. We can fight about fantasy books. I would win, dude.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's a trivia fight.
Yes.
A rap battle, perhaps.
There you go. Yeah.
Can you rap?
Me?
I can't.
Yeah.
I cannot at all. I had a really good friend that was insanely good at it, and it was great. But yeah, no, I couldn't.
I think I would stand a better chance though in a rap battle than a physical
fight. Me too. Yeah, me too.
I think that I could fight either Elijah Wood or Tobey Maguire and win.
Okay.
Tobey Maguire would be tough because
Tobey Maguire, I mean that,
he's worked out for Spider-Man and stuff.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say.
But Elijah Wood, I mean, I don't know if you guys seen him in Wilfred, but we're about like the same size and same body type. I think it would be a good fight. Yeah, I think we could do it.
I don't know, dude. I have no idea who that could work with. My first thought was somebody in Shameless.
Oh, okay.
You know what's the drunk dad's name? And in real life, I don't know. I've seen him in other movies, so I know that he's somewhat well known. In the U.S. Shameless, not British.
William Macy.
Him, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I could win a fight with him.
Yeah.
But I'm only thinking in the Shameless factor. Like he'd have to be drunk because he would probably kick my ass
wasted.
any other way. Yeah. So I don't know.
Oh, that's great. All right, well, that went pretty quick. Should we do one more and get out of here? Okay,
sure, let's do it.
I need to have a good answer to end on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Gabe, you'll have to think about that the next time that question comes up.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. There's nobody that I could think of.
I just keep thinking about. I'm sure you'll find a celebrity
I don't
that
know,
you
dude.
fight.
I'm not a fighter. You would whip my ass in 2 seconds if we tried to fight, dude.
I don't know about that,
horse
dude.
in
I
Parks
would
and
cower.
Rec?
That's the thing. Like I don't think unless like you hit my mom or something, like or like my wife, like I'm not really gonna. I'm just gonna talk my way out of it. That's how I roll.
What did you say, Lou?
I was saying the horse in Parks and Rec, the miniature horse.
Yeah.
Thinking about it now, I don't think I could beat a horse in a fight, even if it is a little.
You never know. As long as you don't let it kick you, you could probably manage. But at the second it gets his back feet past you, no bueno.
Lil Sebastian. I could probably take Lil Sebastian.
Aziz Ansari from Parks and Rec. We're about the same body type too. I thought that'd be a good fight. Okay, so let's see.
Easy money right here.
Who's your celebrity
Exactly who
crush?
that is.
Gabe and I answered this on the last creative.
My answer hasn't changed.
Okay, it's still Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal is my absolute celebrity crush. That dude is everything to me.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or does he sound exactly like Nathan Fillion?
Oh, remind me who Nathan Fillion is.
Mal from Firefly.
I haven't seen Firefly.
Ah, okay. Well, I have a new grievance then to air.
Yeah. No, but
if you ever watch that show, you'll know I'm right.
What else has he been in though? Because I do recognize
The Mandalorian. You mean that? Okay, sorry.
Nathan.
Yeah, not Pedro Pascal.
He was in Castle. He was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer as a very small role.
That's maybe.
He was a weird priest in like late season.
Was he? I think he was in the Uncharted games. I think he did voice work in the Uncharted games.
Probably.
Because I feel like that's where I recognize the name from. Because that was actually the first thing that like jumped to my mind when you said his name. So I wonder if that's because he was in like an Uncharted like film. They made like a long like a mini series kind of thing. And so I wonder if he was in the game as well. But anyway, yeah. Are you saying your crush is Nathan Fillion?
It's not Nathan Fillion.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I agreed on Pedro Pascal. Gabe and I also love Henry Cavill very much. Daddy Cavill. But for me, my real answer is Anna Kendrick. I have a huge crush on Anna Kendrick. I think she is just such a cool person. I read her autobiography.
Nice, dude.
And I was like, oh man, she seems like just a fun person all around. And she was actually on Hot Ones. Do you guys watch that YouTube channel?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
She was on Hot Ones recently, and I'm just falling in love with her all over again.
Nice.
So if we're using the like rules of whose autobiography you've read, my celebrity crush would probably be Tina Fey.
Oh, nice.
But someone who I would watch anything is obviously my girl Kirsten Stewart.
Oh, okay.
Wait, did you say Kristen Stewart?
Yeah.
She's so good in Underwater.
Yes,
oh my
she
god.
Is. Oh my gosh.
I didn't see that coming.
I remember texting Spencer pictures of her and I was like, she is a goddess, dude. Goddess. Oh my god. There was a phase I had where like that was it for me.
It's just your biggest
Kristen
crush.
Stewart, dude. Yes.
Yeah, have you guys seen Adventureland?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Dude, that is
anything
like
with Kirsten Stewart.
Yeah. Adventureland is like literally in my top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Totally.
And I thought she was fantastic in that. I haven't seen a lot else that she's done besides Snow White.
The other movie with her and Eisenhower. What's the Adventureland? His name.
Oh, Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenhower. It was the one where he was a sleeper agent.
Yeah, American Ultra.
American Ultra. That's a really good movie with her in it.
Yeah.
Dude. Yes.
And then there was also Cafe. Hang on. Jesse.
Okay, if you guys have not seen Underwater, though, highly
I have.
recommend.
Oh, for sure. I've seen it like 3 times. Yeah. Yes.
Cafe Society.
Cafe Society.
Yeah, it's another. Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart have done like a bunch of movies together.
They're awesome.
And Steve Carell is in it. Woody Allen's in it. Blake Lively. There's a lot of really famous people in the movie, and I saw that movie about a year ago, and I really, really liked it. So I definitely, I still like Adventureland more, but I would definitely recommend Cafe Society.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So Kristen Stewart, Anna Kendrick,
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal, Cavill. What Nathan Fillion? Was that the other one?
Yeah. So if we want to change the rules to did I imprint on as a young adult?
You're right. Yeah.
Young person.
For sure. Definitely.
That would have been Nathan Fillion and Vin Diesel.
Oh, Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. I did not see that
Solid
coming.
choice, dude.
Pitch Black.
Come on now.
The Riddick movies are like so near and dear to my heart.
Awesome.
Dude, you're gonna hate me, but I have not seen the
Really?
Riddick movie.
I've seen them. It's been a while, but I have seen them.
The only person you're hurting is yourself.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, tell you what, you guys watch the Titanic, and I'll
You'll
watch
watch the
Riddick.
Chronicles of Riddick, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah. So,
Deal. You got to start
yeah.
with Pitch Black though.
Okay,
It's the
so
best one.
is that in the Riddick universe?
It's the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Is it just called Pitch Black, or is it like Riddick Pitch Black?
Nope. So
Okay.
he's actually the bad guy
Oh.
in the first one. Yeah.
I don't know if I ever
Interesting.
saw the first one then.
Oh,
Oh, it's
interesting.
so good. It
Yeah.
definitely like feels dated,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
overall, like
That's
aged
okay
very
though.
well.
Yeah, that's okay though.
So good.
Nice.
All right. But on that note, everyone go
Well-
watch Pitch Black.
All right, Pitch Black and Titanic.
Yes.
Got a deal. All right, guys. Well, I've had so much fun drinking
Yes.
with you and
Cheers.
shooting the shit and just kind of hanging out. This was a good time on a Sunday night just to kind of kick back and talk about nothing and just kind of
Yep.
shoot the shit. So thank you, both of you, for hanging out as late as you did. All right, guys. Well, we are going to wrap it up there. Thanks so much for hanging out with us in the Creators Corner with Lilly from the Fiction Fans podcast. As always, we'll have their links below in the description. Go check out their podcast. It's always a really, really fun time. Our Twitter and Discord are linked below as well. And please consider joining our Patreon. I know there's not a lot of stuff over there right now, but we're super committed to it. We're going to bring you guys some great pieces of content over there that will be exclusive, and it's just a great way to support the podcast as we kind of grow and acquire more and more monthly expenses to keep the ship afloat.
Yep.
Broken record time. If you can't afford to help financially, that's totally fine, but remember that liking and subscribing always helps us get seen by the algorithm, helps grow our little community here. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, we're going to go hunt for Drake Bell while we wait for the new Twilight show. Goodbye.
Nice. Nice.
And a big shout out to our first Night Angel tier patron, Shad Zaman. Thank you so much, man.